Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome back. JR here, everybody, once again with the continuation of the Life is Strange novel Steph Stories, the first Life is Strange novel that we've done. Well, the first Life is Strange novel that's been done. uh, and as always, uh, done by narrated by Steph herself, the lovely Katie Benz. So continuing to be amazing. So if anything, so we'll see the continuation of the story. Last time, we left off with Steph and Izzy finally cementing their relationship and everything. So and now also putting out a goal for us to follow for I guess for a good chunk of the remainder of the book is them preparing to train and stuff for their band so they can compete in the battle of the bands and win against Izzy's former band that she was kind of pretty much bullied out of leaving because they didn't want to hear her opinions and wanting to try to do different styles of songs and things like that, try out some different stuff, and didn't want to do it, and then other slide bullying type of things. So Steph sees this as an opportunity to to rub their success in their faces and make her former bandmates all eat those words. Hey, Napoleon, how's it going? Um, but yeah, so now, and we also got a nice little flashback moment with where Steph talked about meeting up with Chloe and stuff when Chloe came to visit Pixie and the rest of the High Seas during one of their band performances. So and at that event, besides meeting back up with Chloe and catching up with her, also being introduced um, to Max for the first time, and Steph getting to meet Max, which is a pretty cool little fan servicey moment there. So that's kind of nice. Um, but now, uh, I guess we're going to see the rest of the year because they said it's going to be a year or so that they're going to have to prepare for the Battle of the Bands competition. So We'll see what trials and tribulations are going to potentially happen on the road during that year. So we shall see. And also to commemorate the um the forming of Izzy and Steph's band, Drugstore Makeup, and the uh the officially being an actual couple, I found the picture of Steph and Izzy in front of whatever store or whatnot or bar or whatnot that they were performing at with Drugstore Makeup with their little tiny little advertisement in the front window there that they're standing in front of, because that's the photo that you could find in during the Wavelengths DLC. So for the Wavelengths DLC for True Colors, so that's so hopefully y'all can see that and it comes out well enough there. But it's and that way at least Steph and Izzy has a Steph and Izzy have a better at least Izzy has a little visual, so that way we at least have some inkling of what she looks like. So at least there's that. So at least Wavelengths actually gave us like a pic some picture to go with the voice that we heard in the main True Color story. So so that's good. Anyway, without any further ado, we will continue from where we left off at the beginning of chapter 8. So, let's let uh let's let Katie and Steph take it away and continue.
8. It's one thing to say we'll rock, and another thing entirely to actually do it. I pace like I'm trying to hit a steps goal in the back room of Mugshot, the boozy cafe we're playing for our first show. It's nowhere near as big as Bar None. The stage is a little raised platform in the corner with barely enough room for my drum set and Izzy's amp. Tables and chairs fan out in a semicircle, full of friends and even some strangers. I can't decide which makes me more nervous. "We've got this," Izzy says, squeezing my shoulder a little too tight. "Remember, don't speed up." I am become a metronome. I chant and rub my drumsticks together. I want to say more. Or maybe I just want to avoid the audience longer. But then our name is announced and applause sweeps us forward onto the stage, where a big poster with our new logo is taped up like a banner. A red lipstick mark on a black background with vibrant violet text. I tried to get as close to the purple eyeshadow as I could with my colored pencils on short notice. I'll do another draft soon, with better supplies. But for now, it's cool to see my art up there. Like I get to have a contribution to the band beyond just keeping time. I don't even make it all the way behind the drum set before I screw up, crashing into the ride cymbal head first. A loud clanging sound punctuates my entrance, but luckily, I avoid any major injuries. Jordy and Ollie are in the very front, both wearing matching grins. Jordy's sporting an "I'm with the band" t-shirt, and Ollie has a little red kiss mark on his cheek to match our new logo. We didn't have time to make merch for the gig, but I'm glad to see they made do anyway. A few rows behind them are Leah and Rain, and by the door, my dad is craning his neck to see over the crowd. He's got one of those goofy, proud dad smiles, and he flashes me a thumbs up when I catch his eye.
it is so nice that you know how extremely supportive Steph's dad has extremely been during this whole uh book so far, especially all his goofy goofy dadness.
We're drugstore makeup, Izzy says into the mic. Her amplified voice soothes my nerves. My heartbeat slows and I loosen my grip on the drumsticks. Don't forget to tip your barista and get ready to rock. And we do. Playing with Izzy on stage is a totally different experience from practicing in her garage. It takes me a minute to adjust to the acoustics in the cafe. It's bigger, and there are no sound-absorbing pads on the walls. But the energy of the audience is electrifying. As Izzy sings, and sometimes shouts, into the mic, people whoop and cheer. It's almost otherworldly, this collaborative moment between us all. It isn't just mine. It isn't just Izzy's. It's all of ours. Together. We play mostly covers. Gore Gore Girls, Paramore, Bikini Kill. Izzy insists we should fill our set list with mostly female vocalists, since they're so underrepresented in punk. But she makes an exception for good Charlottes, girls and boys, because, as she explains to the audience, if anyone's going to sing about how girls don't like boys, it should be lesbians. For our last song, we play Izzy's Riot Pride. Izzy thanks the audience, and when she announces we're closing with an original, the crowd goes wild. How much of that is just Jordy and Ollie being the best groupies imaginable? I don't know. But I don't really care at this point. I'm having such a great time that even if some rando told us we sucked after the show, I don't think I'd believe them. When it's over, I barely make it down from the stage before I'm engulfed by friends. Steph, that was so cool! Jordy shouts into my ear at an entirely unnecessary volume. Wait, is it supremely uncool to say so? I don't know the rules. I shrug and grin into his embrace. I don't know the rules either. Great, okay, let's not tell anyone. Ollie elbows in to get his turn too. Cannot believe you were this talented and you what, forgot to tell me? Forgot? I hug him back. I withhold that information on purpose. How else am I supposed to create a sense of mystery? Drinkies? Jordy suggests. Our treat. Don't you have the morning shift? I ask. Sure you want to stay out late? He had some kind of vanilla coffee and Kahlua drink about an hour ago. I think it's going to be a late night either way. Ollie pinches Jordy's cheek affectionately and adds, this one's a little caffeined. Oh, that's a great name for a new drink at the cafe.
No.
While Jordy and Ollie argue about the recipe for their invention, I greet Leah and Rain, who've made their way over to squeeze me from both sides. Leah apologizes for Wes's absence, though it's not necessary. They have a noise sensitivity. Rock concerts isn't exactly their scene. Rain scrunches up their face, little wrinkles rippling over their rosy brown skin. They wanted to send flowers for you, but they trail off, exchanging a knowing glance with Leah. Leah jumps in to finish for them. It's not a ballet recital, you know? That certainly doesn't stop Dad from presenting me with a handful of wildflowers. Lupins and poppies and Queen Anne's lace. I'm so proud of you, sweetie, he says, squeezing my shoulder. It's an awkward exchange. We're still not practiced at physical affection, or even just conversational affection. I almost expected him to slip out of the cafe before the end and email me his congratulations on a gig well played. Did you pick these? I ask, half aghast, half impressed. The stems are untidy and the foliage still wild. The florist wouldn't be so sloppy, but honestly, I prefer a collection of thoughtfully plucked weeds to any pristine store-bought bouquet. They're beautiful, if not exactly appropriate. You know me, I haven't been outside in a century. Dad laughs. It's our little joke that he's secretly a vampire, since he's such a hermit. No, these are from Renee. You remember that coworker I was telling you about? Hello. A white woman about my dad's age with curly brown hair and treble clef earrings waves at me over his shoulder. When your dad told me you had a gig, I insisted on tagging along. Music is a joy to share, and your band has such a fun energy. Thanks. I point to the flowers and nod. For these, and for coming. You got plans after? Dad asks eagerly. Maybe we could get a bite. Sorry. I glance at Jordy and Ollie, who are lurking nearby. I think my friends want to get drinks somewhere. Rain check? I told you, George. Leave the young people to their partying, Renee says, tugging on his arm. I watch them go with narrowed eyes, suspicion sneaking into my chest, but no. My dad's too awkward to get a girlfriend. But then, I thought that about myself too. And look at me, all girlfriended up. I scan the room for Izzy, but she's nowhere in sight. Maybe she's with some of her friends in the back room or outside. I definitely saw Saturn in the crowd with a few people, but there were plenty more I didn't recognize that have to be people Izzy knows. Well, since you just rocked, ready to roll? Jordy asks with an exaggerated eyebrow wiggle. It's like you try to be cringe, Ollie groans. I crane my neck to scan the dispersing crowd, but still don't see Izzy. Hang on, I say. I have to pack up first. We'll help. Jordy jumps into action, beginning to dismantle my drum set, and Ollie leans into me to murmur, It's okay, go find her. We got this. I don't even get my thanks out before Ollie joins Jordy, and they fumble their way through taking the drums apart. Even this silly little task is fun for them together. I love that for them. The simple joy of just doing mundane things with the person you care about the most. It's nice.
Yes, it is.
It's less familiar than I want it to be. When I do find Izzy, she's already done packing up her guitar and is sitting inside the van with her legs propped up in the frame of the back door, notepad in hand. What's your writing? I ask, tossing my drumsticks into the cup holder in front. She doesn't respond right away, scribbling furiously. New song? Same song. Her voice is clipped, her brow pinched in concentration. I thought it sounded good. I place my fingers lightly on her knee. Yeah? Her eyes flick up to mine, uncertainty embedded deep in her irises. I think the third verse needs some work, and maybe we should add a guitar solo? I nod and smile. Okay, sure. That could be fun. Maybe we work on it tomorrow? My friends want to go out and celebrate. It's okay, you can go. I'll do this myself. My chest constricts painfully. Are you sure? You're invited, you know. Plus, I think I saw your housemates waiting out there for you. She sets the pen down and sighs. Yeah, okay. Guess I should check in with them. Do you want to invite them along, maybe? We could all go out together. Nah. She swings her legs down from the van and lands beside me. I want to work on this some more. She won't meet my eyes, and her avoidance hurts almost more than her words. Did I do something wrong? Do you not want me to hang out with your friends? I ask, the words soft on my tongue. I know I'm still new to this, but I will get better at drumming and stuff. I promise you can bring me to your cool punk parties and I'll be chill. What? Oh no, Steph, no. Her hand finds my waist and she pulls me closer. You were great, I just want to get this right. I feel like I'm in a creative groove and I don't want to lose that. I promise we'll hang with my friends another time, okay? Are you sure? My fingers seek hers, hoping that her touch will ground me, reassure me. Yeah, you go have fun. She gives my hand a perfunctory squeeze. It's almost enough. Izzy makes good on her promise a few weeks later. Party at my place, 8 p.m. Her text comes through while I'm still at save point, so I finish my shift and hurry home to scarf down some boxed mac and cheese and change. I go against Leah's advice for tonight, wearing my most torn jeans and a tight t-shirt proclaiming my love for the Smashing Pumpkins. For a finishing touch, I throw on the leather bracelets Izzy dressed me in on the night of our first kiss.
Smashing Pumpkins, that's a... that's a Interesting choice.
I forgot to give them back that night, and I've just been hanging on to them ever since. I wonder if she's noticed. Bruce, Izzy's housemate, greets me at the door when I arrive. He's a weird guy, very buttoned up with a slightly too thin mustache. He's not usually home when I'm around, since he works more hours than he doesn't. But on the few occasions I've passed him in the kitchen or the living room, he's always been pleasant. "Welcome to the party," he shouts over the music and hands me an empty plastic cup and a Sharpie. "Reduce, reuse, recycle." I give him an off-kilter salute and scribble my name on the outside of my cup before heading inside. The living room has been transformed into a dance floor. Neon lights crisscross through the space, and the seating has been carted off somewhere to make room for a DJ table, behind which Saturn is spinning tunes. I give them a quick wave before ducking into the kitchen to fill my cup. "You made it!" Izzy captures my lips with hers. She tastes like sharp mint and raspberry. "Come on, got people I want you to meet." She drags me out to the backyard, fingers laced with mine, and over to a group clustered by the fence. "Everyone, this is Steph." Izzy points at me with a big grin on her face. "Girlfriend, drummer, coffee connoisseur." "Hey," I nod to the group, eyes sweeping over them. There's about a dozen people out here enjoying the Seattle summer evening, not to mention the crowd inside. It strikes me all at once how many people Izzy must know. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to socializing, and even I couldn't come up with a guest list this extensive. There's so much of Izzy I still don't know. So much of her that exists outside of us. Outside of me. I glance over to see her expression awash with pride. Her eyes are trained on me, bright and brilliant. Like she's actually excited to show me off. Like I'm special. And damn it, under her gaze with her hand in mine, maybe I am. The myth, the legend. A tall white guy with gauges in his ears and a t-shirt that says pro-union reaches across the gap to shake my hand. "Heard you drummed up quite the audience for your first gig." "Jerry, I swear to God." The girl beside him smacks his arm. Ignore him. He makes puns instead of having a personality. "I'm Ronnie, guitarist for Attack-O-Lanterns." The rest of the group introduce themselves one by one. They all have names and bands, only half of which I remember an hour later, once I've been thoroughly paraded around what seems like every person in Seattle. Izzy pulls me onto the dance floor and tucks her face into the crook of my neck. The music is fast and hard, but Izzy's energy is quiet and soft as she leans into me. I run my fingers through her hair and sway to her beat. It's counterintuitive to all my drummer training, but I'd rather be attuned to Izzy's rhythm than some 41s. We stay like that for a few songs, wrapped up in each other. Then Izzy slides from my grip and gestures to her empty cup. I can't hear her over the music, but I understand her meaning well enough. After she slips away to the kitchen, I find myself shuffled into a conversation with Jerry, the guy from outside, who is patiently explaining to Bruce the many types of unions for which he is pro. All of them, really, man. Obviously, I'm pro-labor union, pro-marital union, pro-union army, I suggest. See, Steph gets it. Jerry gives my arm a soft punch. Bruce shakes his head, eyes a little unfocused. Okay, I promise I'm not that dense. I just thought your shirt said pro-onion. Oh man, yeah, I'm pro-onion too. Blooming, caramelized, satire publication. I'm ushered from conversation to conversation. Ronnie grabs me to talk about the best coffee in Seattle, a debate for which I'm highly qualified, and Saturn asks me to DJ while they take a bathroom break for just a few minutes. It's way longer than that, and pretty soon I'm picking songs myself. I watch the room carefully, but people don't leave the dance floor. In fact, a few cheer me on and I feel somehow like maybe I actually belong here at this party. With this music. With these people. When Saturn returns, I relinquish their seat and go in search of Izzy, following her path to the drink station. It's been at least a half hour since she disappeared, and after a quick glance around, she's still nowhere to be seen. Maybe she went back outside. I reach for a bottle of rum. The taste of Izzy's mojito is still lingering on my lips. but my hand collides with someone else's. Good taste. I look up to see a familiar face framed with cropped brown hair, an eyebrow piercing, and an expression verging on sour. It's one of the other girls from Vinyl Resting Place. Oh, hey, you're, I trail off, realizing I don't actually know her name. Bellamy, she supplies. Ah, I was close. I was gonna guess something starting with the letter B. It's way meaner than I intend, and I wince immediately. An apology she doesn't really deserve, but I probably owe suspended on my lips. That is fair, honestly, she says before I can take it back. Sorry about all the drama. Astrid and Izzy have always been a bit radioactive, and the blast radius is brutal. Yeah, sounds like it. I take the rum bottle from her when she's done, but don't pour. Have you seen her? Astrid, are you kidding? She's not here. Tara and I got the invite from Mariana, but we're not stupid enough to bring Astrid. Oh, no, I meant Izzy. I cast my gaze about again. Think she went to the garage, Bellamy says with a shrug. Hope you find her. See you around. Sophie? I don't bother correcting her. My heart beats high in my throat and my eyes flit to the garage. The house thrums with energy and loud bass, but my brain feels muffled. I put down the rum and instead fill my cup with tap water. Something tells me I'm going to want to err on the side of sober once I open the door. Izzy's inside, lying on her back in the middle of her bed, knees tucked up to her chest. She rolls to the side when I move the divider. Found ya, I say, crossing over to put my cup down on the bedside table. Does that mean it's my turn to hide? Izzy smiles, but it doesn't quite reach her eyes. I wasn't hiding. You sure about that? I settle onto the edge of the bed next to her and pull my legs up under me. Maybe you should be a magician instead of a rock star. You've got the disappearing act down. I could get a rabbit. I nod sagely. Girls just want to have fun. She throws a pillow at me. But really, what's up? I scoot closer,
Fun song, though.
pulling her legs over my lap. You just kind of left there. It's your party, you know. Izzy blinks at me and I see it in her eyes for just a flash. The instinct to make a joke, to lie, to brush me off. It's what I would do in her shoes. No, that's not true. I wouldn't have left the party to begin with. I was having too much fun. Did you see Bellamy and Tara? Probably weird that they showed up, huh? I ask, prompting. Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess. She sighs and lets her head fall back, hair splayed out around her like a crown. I just don't really feel like being around people tonight. Weird day to throw a party then. Well, it's not really for me. Huh? I cock my head. What do you mean? Izzy sits up and places a hand on my arm. You wanted to party with my friends. You said so after our show. The party's for me? To hang out with your friends? She shrugs, but doesn't meet my eyes. Yeah, sort of. A hollow feeling fills my stomach. It is what I wanted. Izzy is this incredibly cool punk rocker, and I wanted to see her world. I wanted to be deemed worthy of it. I wanted to belong there. But out in the garage where the music struggles through the soundproof walls, it feels like maybe Izzy's the one who doesn't really belong. Let me ask you something, I say, the words slow on my tongue as I wrap my head around this feeling of being just slightly askew. All those people you introduced me to, do you actually like any of them? What? The word comes too quick, too hard. It's just, you invited a lot of people, and I know you're not friends with some of them. Like, come on, Bellamy and Tara? You caught me, Steph. Izzy falls back onto the bed, her torso bouncing as a laugh breaks from her chest. You sounded really excited to do the whole party thing. Like you thought I had this alternative life to show you. I don't know, I like that you saw me as some punk princess. Punk rock Barbie or whatever. But I don't really even know half the people here. Most of them are just people from bands I've played with. People I know from the scene because I gave them a bloody nose in a mosh pit. The only reason I know any of these people is because of Astrid and Vinyl Resting Place. Those girls, they were my friends. And without them, I don't really know how to be the girl you want me to be. I'm just Izzy. There's absolutely nothing just about this girl before me. Izzy's eyes are closed, her mouth a little open. Her shirt is slipping down off one shoulder, revealing a bra strap cinched too tight, digging into her skin. She looks peaceful and serene. She isn't just Izzy, because she is everything. Izzy. I say her name softly as I lie down next to her. The syllables catch in my throat, and all the other words I want to say dissolve on my tongue. There is only her. It's okay. You can go back in. Enjoy the party. She pulls her hands back to her stomach, knotting her fingers together just above her navel where her shirt rides up. I don't mind hanging by myself. And maybe in another life I would do just that. Maybe I'd return to the noise and lights and crowd of bodies. I'd drink and I'd dance and I'd soak up the energy of these people I was so eager to meet. But it feels empty, knowing Izzy is here feeling friendless, feeling like a disappointment. I curl my body to fit against hers and trail my fingers along the bare skin of her shoulder. Not a chance, I whisper against her lips just before I kiss her. Tonight, I'm hosting a party for two. 9. Dad finally corners me for a family dinner in the most George Gingrich way possible. He sends me an Evite. It's fireman themed, and I can't tell if he picked it to be funny or if he couldn't figure out how to select different options. He promises a home-cooked meal and suggests I bring Izzy. I show it to her, thinking we'll have a good laugh and I'll tell him we're too busy. But to my surprise, she just says, "I'd love to," and doesn't even make a fire truck joke. I write back, "Home cooked? By whomst?" Dad's email comes shortly after, as though he's been waiting for my reply. "Don't worry, I promise not to burn the salad." And to my surprise, he doesn't. I still remember the time we melted the waffle maker, trying to make breakfast in bed on Mother's Day. Mom had to open all the windows and take the batteries out of the smoke alarm, muttering curses under her breath the whole time. Dad was banned from the kitchen after that. From what I can tell, he's mostly subsisted on takeout since the divorce, a lifestyle I'm more than happy to take advantage of while living with him. Seeing him in the kitchen wearing an apron is almost enough to send me running back out the door. It's a fairly untouched space. The only appliance that gets any sort of regular traffic is the microwave above the stove. The light gray marble countertops are practically spotless, and there's even a bowl of fake fruit on the center island. It looks straight out of a catalog. In fact, I bet he didn't change a thing from the day he moved in. "Check me out, Steph, I'm boiling water." Dad points to the burner where he is, in fact, successfully boiling water. With a flourish, he removes the lid from the pot and pours pasta from a cardboard box like he's been doing it for years. "Next, you'll tell me you've learned how to turn on the oven." I start to roll my eyes, but then a second head appears from behind him. Curly hair pulled into a loose ponytail and sporting a painfully genuine smile. For a moment, my heart drops through the floor. A memory surfaces, gasping and flailing like a drowning victim, bursting to the surface of my brain. My parents, together, laughing over a pot of soup, Mom feeding him some with a big spoon, Dad yelping and frantically fanning his mouth when he burns it on the too hot liquid. I can't even place the memory. Maybe it's not even real, but it hits me like a sneaker wave, and I can barely stay afloat long enough for it to pass. I blink, and the memory fades, In its wake, I see reality. Renee, the woman from the gig, his coworker. Renee waves at me, an oven mitt that definitely doesn't belong to us covering her hand. We've got homemade garlic bread baking, she inhales deeply. Smells amazing, right? Those cooking classes are really paying off. When she returns to watching the oven, I mouth the words, cooking classes, at Dad, trying to recapture our usual dynamic. But he's too busy to be mocked by his daughter, watching his pasta boil with an expression of shocked glee. Rude, really, as that's the number one duty of a dad. Izzy takes off her shoes behind me and nudges me forward. Where should I put these? She holds up the box of pastries we picked up from Save Point. I usher her over to the kitchen table, where there are already place settings laid out. Dishes I don't think I've ever seen before, with a gold floral pattern around the edges. I didn't know we had any matching dishware, let alone 4 sets. I've been washing the same ceramic plate and bowl every day, since Dad doesn't have very many, and all of Mom's nice china was destroyed in the storm. In the center of the table is a bouquet of wildflowers, heather and a pretty dark dusty rose-colored flower I don't recognize. Hellebore, says Renee, as she circles over to us to take Izzy's box of pastries. It can be tough to find wildflowers this late in the summer, but I grow these specially in my yard so I can have beauty at my table through the year. I didn't ask, and I'm about to say so when Dad interrupts my thoughts. Isn't it nice to have nature in the house? He asks, leaving his pot of noodles unattended to step out from behind the counter and admire the centerpiece. If you can't go to nature, nature will come to you. Renee smiles up at Dad, blue eyes twinkling with something oh so very much more than casual coworkerness. I'm working on getting him to go outside at least once a day. But this little introvert is as stubborn as he is sweet. Dad giggles. Giggles. And that's about enough for me. I want to vomit, I want to yell, I want to stomp my foot and throw a tantrum like I'm 12 again. In some ways, I never stopped being that kid whose dad left during the summer between 6th and 7th grade. It doesn't matter that Mom wanted him to. Because I didn't. Dad blinks down at me, waiting for a smile I can't give. I won't ruin tonight. Not for him. Not for Izzy. Not even for Renee. I will swallow this feeling, wash it down with garlic bread, and hope it stays down. Izzy, let me show you the rest of the house. I turn on my heel and grab her arm a little rougher than I mean to. I don't let go. She's the only thing grounding me right now, and I'm afraid if I do, I'll be lost in a choppy sea. Or maybe even a storm. I'm a terrible tour guide. I point and grunt like a Neanderthal, saying things like bathroom, and bedroom, and hallway. My brain is moving through sludge, trying to process what just happened. Thankfully, Izzy seems to pick up on that and drags me into my room, sits me down on the bed, and kicks the door shut. Okay, you need to do some breathing. She places the heel of her hand on my back and rubs in slow circles. I don't want her to see me like this. And I don't want to be like this. I want to be fun and breezy, Steph. She's a guest here, but she's the one trying to make me feel at home. Good old oxygen will do wonders for you, she says into my ear. I take a ragged breath and, well, she's not wrong. My head begins to clear almost instantly. You want to talk about it? She asks. I shake my head. Talking about it implies there is anything to talk about. Dad got a girlfriend. So what? He's allowed. He's divorced. And besides that, Mom, well, she's not a factor. She should be a factor. Talk to me about something else then. Izzy kisses the top of my head, then pushes off the bed to examine my room. It doesn't look that different from when I moved in. The pride sign Izzy bought me is on top of my dresser. I've taped some drawings to the walls, sketches for the drugstore makeup logo, a new villain for the campaign I'm running, a rough doodle of Izzy I did while she was in the zone writing a new song last week. Her fingers trail over the portrait of her, then land on the vinyl resting place poster. The one she gave me the first time we met. Well, this can go in the trash. She tugs it from its thumbtack, tearing the top. Why do you even have this? Oh, sorry, I say without thinking, the apologies stumbling out of me before I have time to decide if it's warranted. It was the first thing you ever gave me. Felt significant. I shrug. Izzy stares down at the poster, a mix of emotions flashing across her eyes. I think at first she's going to tear it up or storm out, or something else equally dramatic. But then her shoulders fall and she sighs. Guess I better give you some better stuff. I'm not really much for stuff these days, as you can tell.
That's a nice,
I gesture around at the room. My suitcase in the corner is propped open, with a pile of clothes still laying in it, and I've barely even attempted to fill the bookshelf. Yeah, why is that? Izzy asks, plopping down on the bed beside me. The truth fizzles on my tongue. Her fingers slide between mine and she gives my hand an encouraging squeeze. But I still can't give voice to the real reason this room is mostly empty. Why I haven't unpacked. Maybe it's because I don't really know why myself. Instead, I shrug and say, stuff is just stuff, right? Izzy gives me a quizzical look. I guess I just thought because you have so much personality it would show more in your space. But this room is like, it barely even scratches the surface of who you are. More like you're just staying here instead of actually living here. And there it is. She's hit the nail on the head. I flop onto my back and stare up at the bare ceiling. Suddenly very interested in the bumpy texture. It's like a topographical map with ridges and valleys and little towns near the ocean that can be swept away in a storm.
Also nice that they're playing on the fact of what Steph did in wavelengths when she was finally having the heart to heart with Mikey, and pretty much saying that when she gets too close to something, she tries to, see something wrong and then tries to leave. So it seems like, subconsciously she's doing that, which is why she doesn't unpack anything, is because subconsciously she's expecting something to go wrong and for her to leave, to go somewhere else. Which is kind of which obviously we know from everything that would happen later in True Colors, she'll actually find something to actually, stick around for. If you went, if you went with the Alex route, if you actually went with her becoming Alex's love interest in the main game. If not, if you go with Ryan in True Colors, then Steph up and leaves Haven anyway, and goes who knows where at that point. So, so yeah.
Tears prickle at the edge of my eyes, but I can't cry. Not in front of Izzy. Not about this. So I plaster a smile onto my face, tugging Izzy down next to me, cushioning her fall with my arm. Okay, I'll play consumerist. What kind of stuff do you think I should get, Miss Interior Decorator? Well, some more Pride shit for a start. She snuggles in close, her hair falling across my chest. The home of Steph Gingrich should be colorful and loud. Describe it to me. My fingers trail down her arm, tracing a constellation of her freckles. Paint me a word picture, Izzy Margolis. Her hand finds purchase on my stomach, and she whispers against my throat. each word a kiss. Steph's house is a happy place. She has a lesbian flag hanging on the door and a welcome mat that says, "You're here, I'm queer." Inside, there's a big comfy couch in the living room and a record player. She's got one of those antique arcade machines that only takes quarters. And she definitely collects when her friends come over to party. Her hand inches up my body as she travels from the living room to the kitchen. She has an espresso machine and too many mugs, all with cute little sayings on them like T-Rex or Live, Laugh, Lesbian. On the kitchen table, she has a big centerpiece, not flowers. It's rainbow, and it says pride in rainbow letters, just in case anyone missed the other really subtle hints that she's gay. What about her bedroom? I ask quietly as her hand finds my face and she strokes a finger along my jaw. What does it look like in there? Well, there's a big cozy throw rug on the ground, purple, the kind that feels like a cloud on bare feet. And there's a desk where she can sketch, with all her colored pencils and a vase like a bouquet of flowers. The bookshelf is covered in little glass apothecary jars filled with dice. There's a basket for her drumsticks near the door, and a beanie on every surface. Izzy nuzzles closer into the hollow of my throat, fingers trailing across my clavicles and sliding just under the edge of collar. The bedside table has a vintage stained glass lamp and a book of Sappho's poetry. And the bed is made up with black and purple bedding. And oh, what's this? There's a girl in there. Huh. I manage, my breath catching as her lips tickle my skin. Tell me more about her. Is she hot? You tell me. Izzy pushes herself up on her elbows and rolls above me, catching my gaze and holding it. Her voice is quiet, but her eyes are loud. Like every time she looks at me, a party starts inside her irises. I rise up to catch her mouth with mine, too overcome to think about this imaginary room. If Izzy's with me, I don't really care about my surroundings. I don't care about a lot of things. Like the fact that my dad's finally moved on while I still can't. Or the fact that the last time I had stuff in my room, it all got swept away by a storm. Izzy pulls away and presses our foreheads together, breath heavy between us. Yeah. Okay. I say, eyes still closed. Pretty damn hot. More importantly, Izzy eases off me and pulls me up with her.
Also fun thing how she's still as I said before, still dealing with the aftermath of Arcadia Bay. So, you know, it's cuz it's a plus it's good that you're having somebody that's dealing with that type of stuff other than obviously Max and Chloe would be. So at least one of the side people, because you get a little bit of other people, how other people have been dealing with it from David in the final episode of Life is Strange 2, and then when you're in his trailer and you're looking at the different like memories and mementos that he has in the trailer, and you have the letter from Victoria that Victoria sent him to thank him for saving her and stuff. You get a little bit of what how Victoria herself has been dealing with it, so that's nice to get some perspective of what the other survivors how the different ways they would be dealing with or not necessarily dealing with what happened there, whether they were there or not, or they lost people um in the storm and stuff, and how that like affects them and things like that. So it's nice that even here we're getting even more of a deeper insight into how that has affected Steph herself here.
This girl really likes you. She thinks you're cool and that you deserve to have stuff you like, even if you don't think so. I blink my eyes open to see her smoothing out the wrinkles in her shirt and running a finger along her lipstick line. I want to pull her back down, wreck both our faces with smudged makeup, and ruin her shirt. So when we finally feel like putting clothes on again, she has to wear one of mine. But Izzy's already opening the door and waving me forward. Come on, I can smell meatballs. I follow, pausing at the threshold to look back at my room, trying to see it through Izzy's eyes. The room she imagined for me seems so perfect, like she somehow knows me better than I know myself. Or maybe I'm just a fraud, pretending to be the kind of girl Izzy likes. And sooner or later she'll realize I'm just like my room. A blank canvas. I'm taking down a string of paper sunflowers at save point when the...
Hey, Steph, look at it this way. If you're a blank canvas, then that means that you could turn into anything. Anything that you want to be. So at least there's a positive, something positive to get out of that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're empty or anything. It just means that you have all that space to be anything you want to be, and put anything you want on it. You can turn it into anything.
The door swings open, and the victory theme music nearly knocks me off my feet. It's nothing to the shock I feel when I turn around to see who's arrived. Renee stands in the doorframe, holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums and a card. "Oh good, I caught you," she says with a smile that lights up her eyes, like she's genuinely glad to see me, like nothing could make her gladder. This place is so fun, very you. I want to say she doesn't know me well enough to say that, but she's not wrong. Instead, I head for the counter to take her order. The sooner I make her a drink, the sooner she'll leave. "What can I get started for you?" Renee glances at the menu, then back at me. "What do you like?" I shrug and point to the list of lattes we offer. The Vicious Mokery is good, or Expeditious Treat. "What's your favorite?" "Probably Tasha's Hideous Latte." Renee nods. "Great, I'll have a Dexterity for now. And I've got your next latte. As hideous as you want." Something gums up inside of me at that gesture. "Oh, that's really nice of you, but you don't have to. Please." Renee holds up a hand. "I want to, if it's okay with you. And I'd really like to talk, but again, only if you do. There's no pressure." But of course, there is pressure. Whether she means there to be or not. Dad isn't here in the coffee shop with us, and honestly, if he was, maybe it would be easier to laugh this off and shoo her away. If there's one thing my dad and I can almost always agree on, it's the value of not talking about our feelings. "It's cool, we're not busy. You can take a break." Ollie gives me a thumbs up and a smile. I glower at him the whole time I'm making my latte. But he doesn't seem to notice he's made it to my shit list. Without a good excuse to blow her off, I finally make my way over to Renee and sit down opposite her, spilling a little of my latte over the edge of the mug. "So," I say, a little more brusquely than I intend, "what's up?" Renee carefully removes the tea bag from her mug, squeezing out the excess water and depositing it on the saucer before she answers me. First, I wanted to say thank you for welcoming me into your home the other night. I had such a lovely time, and it was great to get some FaceTime with you and Izzy. A knot pulls taut in my stomach at her words, because I wasn't welcoming. I wasn't lovely. I was barely present at all. And if anyone was welcoming and lovely, it was her, with her garlic bread and her floral arrangements. An apology sticks in my throat, even though it's not my fault. I didn't know she was going to be there. I didn't know that was even a possibility. I didn't know, and it's because Dad didn't tell me. I know it meant a lot to your dad, too. Renee continues, seemingly unaware of the impact her words are having on me. He hasn't stopped talking about how proud he is of you. Really? I look up from my mug. That's, surprising, doubtful, weird. Nice. Renee catches my eye and peers at me thoughtfully. You and your dad don't talk much, do you? I shake my head, afraid if I tell her exactly how much, it will be some breach of the social contract between fathers and daughters who haven't had a substantive conversation since before the last Game of Thrones book came out. In fact, I could probably find a way to blame our strained relationship on media. Books and films are really the only things we have to enjoy together. And I bet without them, we'd have to actually talk about shit. Well, I don't mean to meddle, but I get the impression he wishes that was different. My whole body tenses. Yeah? Well, maybe he should try giving me a heads up next time he decides to invite his girlfriend to dinner, instead of springing it on me like we live in a fucking haunted house. It's so much more than I mean to say, but the floodgates are open and I can't stop. I didn't even know he was dating again. I didn't know he wanted to. So maybe instead of sending you here to make nice with me, he should do it himself. That is incredibly fair. Renee wears her surprise well, leaning back in her chair, brows raised, eyes wide. She takes a slow sip of her tea, wiping her mouth on a paper napkin before she speaks again. I don't want to interfere with something that's not my business, so I'll just say this. I have a complex family dynamic myself, and I know how strange it can be when someone new comes into the mix. I'm seeing your dad, and I know that might be weird, but I hope we can get to know each other too. Yeah, sure, I say, voice tight. We don't have to be best friends or anything, she adds quickly, sensing my hesitance. I'm definitely too old for all that partying you kids do. I know she's trying, and I know I should try right back, because that's what Dad would want me to do. But Dad's not here, and he hasn't told me what he wants, so instead I do what I want. I'm not a kid, and I'm not looking for a new mom. Of course not. You already have a mom, and I would never try to replace her. She pushes the flowers and the card toward me on the table. Think about it, okay? Okay. I do. I think about it as I pull shots and wash dishes and wipe down tables. I think about it as I lock up and trudge back up the hill to Dad's house. I think about it as I pass Dad's room and hear the sounds of the opening score for Game of Thrones. And maybe if I wasn't thinking about it so much, I would knock on the door with a bowl full of popcorn and watch TV with my dad. But I can't help but wonder if Dad told Renee about Mom. If he's talked about Mom with Renee, more than with me. So instead, I drift into my own room and let the door click shut behind me. I shiver a little and pull on a sweatshirt. Everyone in Westeros is always so worried about winter. Fools don't realize they have to contend with fall first. Fall. 10. Ask almost anyone from the Pacific Northwest what they like about living here, and they'll tell you it's the mild winters.
See, also, that is a that type of conversation from from her dad's girlfriend or potential stepmom or whatnot, however far the relationship goes and stuff like that, that type of upfront conversation between her and Steph is definitely something that should have happened between between Chloe and David. That is definitely something that should have been like an upfront thing. Like a nice civilized like heart to heart of look, I know what my place is. I'm not trying to do this, that, and the third type of thing. Can we at least, come to a mutual like understanding on these points? So that way there's no misunderstanding there. So something like that is definitely what was extremely needed between David and Chloe. Like obviously themselves are is wouldn't really do that, especially David because his social skills is god awful. But that's where Joy should have like heavily gotten involved in like getting a situation like that done, because that was up to that's what she should have pushed for a lot harder instead of just letting them constantly argue and fight amongst themselves and potentially have a some well, I wouldn't say child abuse because she was over 18 by the time the original game happened, but like some form of domestic violence potentially, depending on what you do in the game. So a prime example of something of the a more right way of going about that between Steph and her father's girlfriend or whatnot. There, very good. Good little moment there.
Or the wildflowers in spring, or the summer hiking. But they're all lying. Fall is the season of Seattle. When the temperature drops, out come the cozy sweaters. Coffee drinkers flock to cafes to get their pumpkin-flavored beverages, and scones, and muffins, and bread. The leaves begin changing color in October, a sunset of orange and yellow along every street. There's plenty to like about fall, like how I can wear a beanie every day and no one bats an eye. And, of course, Halloween, the second gayest holiday after Pride Month.
And also, you can wear your witch's costume that you have, that we saw you have during the well, on the mannequin during wavelengths, and then wearing it during the LARPing section of episode 3 in True Colors. So there you go.
But there are a lot of rainy days to get through before it's officially spooky season. One day in particular, actually. October 11th begins as so many fall days do in Seattle.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The day the storm hit on Arcadia Bay. Well, the storm potentially hit depending on what your ending is, but But obviously, but this book is definitely going with the storm happened uh, route. So, and also a little fun fact: October 11th is actually my birthday. So, so so it's kind of it's almost like this for the original Life is Strange was kind of meant for me to play it in a way, considering the whole climax of the game happens on my birthday, which is pretty fun. my fr- my friends who were trying to get me to play the game for a long time because they were when the game was originally coming out in 2015, because they were really into the episodic games back in the day, Wolf Among Us and the Walking Dead games, the Telltale stuff. They really wanted me to play those and was really talking about Life is Strange. Thankfully, though, they did not spoil anything about the game because I waited until the whole physical edition came out, so that way I could play the whole thing in one shot. Uh, so really fun, especially the surprise of the storm arriving on my birthday type of deal was pretty funny and caught me off guard when I originally played the game. So fun little moments.
With gray skies, I muddle my way through my morning routine, trying to brush my teeth with the wrong end of the toothbrush and toasting my Pop-Tart on the bagel setting so all the icing melts off. But I still don't realize what day it is until Dad makes an appearance. Expression serious, eyes searching. "Want to play hooky today and watch movies?" he asks. I bought a jumbo pack of popcorn and I've got the Lord of the Rings queued up. All 3, extended editions. Make a day of it? What do you think? I freeze, hand halfway to my keys on the counter. There's an audible thunderclap overhead and a deluge of rain crashes down onto the roof, a whole percussion section on its own. And maybe I should just stay home. My raincoat and boots will be a poor defense against the misery, both outside and inside. Dad's offered me such a tempting olive branch, and I know how the day will go. We'll fill up on junk food, swap trivia we both already know, and take turns shouting our favorite lines along with the actors. There will be a race to share the tidbit about Viggo Mortensen, breaking his toe when he kicks the orc helmet. Dad will remind me to cover my eyes before Denethor eats those cursed cherry tomatoes. For a pretty violent movie, that's gotta be the most gruesome part. And we'll get misty-eyed at each of the many endings of Return of the King. We'll have fun. It will be a good day. But there will still be the truth hanging over us. That Mom isn't here to enjoy it with us. And that even if she was, Dad would rather spend it with Renee. We still haven't talked about it. The Renee of it all. I definitely won't be the one to bring it up. I wouldn't really know what to say if I did. I'm almost 23, and that's old enough that I shouldn't care that my divorced dad has a new girlfriend. I'm not about to ruin this for him with my big feelings. Not today, anyway. Besides, that's just how we Gingriches do things. We wait until it's too late to do it in a normal way and just hope each other picks up on the context clues. It's worked for us so far. If by work do you mean we know next to nothing about each other and still vastly prefer email to face, and today promises to be full of face-to-face. Nah, I say, averting my eyes. I've gotta work. You have fun without me. Full of a took, Dad shouts after me, and I almost want to turn around. But I don't. I brace my shoulders against the storm and step out into the rain. I try to drown out the storm the rest of the day, with music at the cafe and with drumming after work in Izzy's garage. But even noise-canceling headphones aren't enough. My rhythm becomes erratic and sloppy until I'm no longer keeping time. I'm chasing it. Memories of Arcadia Bay slip through the cracks with each thunderclap. Wet wind whips my face as I run. I'm slow against such powerful gusts, and I can't even remember why I'm running. When I pause to look around, I barely recognize the street. I know it, but it's obscured by debris flying through the air. An entire bush is uprooted nearby and flies into the air, spinning and swirling toward a massive gray vortex moving toward me from the bay. For a moment, I just stand there, waiting to be swept away too. A hand lands on my shoulder and pulls me in the opposite direction. Come on, we have to get to the basement. Pleading eyes stare at me from a familiar brown face. Mikey's only 16, but he feels so much older than me in this moment. Like he knows we will survive it. And we do. We do. I remind myself of this until my heartbeat settles, until my drumsticks fall back under my control, the wood in my hands grounding me. I'm behind the drums in Izzy's garage. I'm not in Arcadia Bay. No one is anymore. Not really. There's a ripple of static, and then Izzy's hands are on my cymbals, quieting them with her fingertips. She moves her mouth, words lost to the ripping winds in my mind. What? I say. But my own voice sounds so far away. I think if I close my eyes, I'll find myself back in the basement with Mikey, rolling dice to keep our minds off the storm outside. Izzy reaches over and pulls the headphones off my ears. What's going on with you? She asks. You sped up like triple time during the bridge and then you forgot about the kick. Guess I'm just off my game, I say, gritting my teeth. It's an understatement of epic proportions, but I'm not about to tell her that. Since our gig, she's been a real perfectionist at practice. I know she just wants us to be good, and I want us to be good too. I want her to think we're good. I want her to think I'm good. Well, get it together. We've got 2 weeks to get this right before our next show. She turns back to her amp to fiddle with the dials, giving me a second to breathe. But breath doesn't come. The rain takes this moment to double its intensity, hammering against the roof. I hold the phone close to my face, finger jammed in my other ear, trying to hear if it's even ringing.
It is a good narrative moment that having a like a little like rainstorm happening on on the 11th and stuff of the anniversary of the storm and everything, to delve into um pretty much like a PTSD moment for Steph that she's clearly going through, and then having the little flashback of even though Steph and Mikey being at I guess by that point Mikey, Drew, and most likely their dad was able to get a house or an apartment or something more farther away from town, so that way they didn't have to deal with the direct hit of the storm and everything, but still clearly dealt with some of it because they had to go uh, seek some shelter and stuff to make sure that you know that they're safe regardless. So kind of interesting adding the playing up more of a PTSD element here with this, especially with the added effect of the of it actually raining and stuff to make it even more of a of traumatic memories and stuff going on.
Pick up, pick up, pick up. I chant. Mikey's sitting opposite me, lying on the couch and staring at his phone, waiting for Drew to call back. It's been an hour, and still nothing from his brother. There's a shallow pool of water on the floor, so my boots splash a little as I pace back and forth. The only thing giving me hope is that I still have service.
Mm-mm.
Which means Mom does too. Steph, Mom's voice crackles to life on the speaker.
Okay.
Mom?
It's that moment.
I yell, relief making jelly of my limbs. The whole town is in rubble. It'll hit our house soon. I'm taking shelter, but her words grow steadier, louder. Like it's this next bit that matters most. I love you. Okay? Mom. Mom, I love you too. Steph? Steph. Izzy's tone matches my own, and I don't realize until she grasps my shoulders and hauls me back up, eyes wild with worry.
That that reenactment of a phone call was pretty much reminiscent of well, not not immediately, like obviously they changed up some of the lines and everything, but the overall tone and message and stuff is still the same. But but in the fall Arcadia Bay section of the Wavelengths DLC, you if you went with the storm happening thing, you actually get when you're doing your task and stuff at the record store, when you're trying to do one of the objectives, you actually get that flashback of Steph talking to her mother on the phone and pretty much uh, almost hearing her mom's like final moments on the phone before potentially getting swept away or whatnot by the storm, or or in both cases, pretty much the phone cutting off and stuff. So so at least in this interpretation, Steph was able to say "I love you" back to her mom in the end. When in Wavelengths, it's a little bit more a lot more sadder and depressing because the phone kind of cuts off after her mom tells her that she loves her. So she kind of didn't get that moment of saying it back in the end. So at least here they kind of made it a little. They redid it a little bit to make it a little bit more of a bittersweet moment as opposed to just being like crushingly depressing.
That I must have collapsed. Hey, are you okay? I gulp down oxygen and try to shake her off. Yeah, but I can't even get the word out. What the fuck is going on with you? Izzy asks, but her voice isn't angry so much as scared. There's a tremor in her words and her forehead pinches as she peers down at me. Are you feeling okay? She presses the back of her hand to my forehead to feel for fever. And for all I know, I might have one. I feel hot and cold at the same time, hungry and nauseated, painfully alive and as numb as a ghost. When was the last time you ate? Izzy asks. Could be a blood sugar thing, or I don't know, are you like anemic or something? I shake my head, but the motion just makes me feel more out of sorts and dizzy. I think I'm just tired, I say, trying to shrug it off. I push up to my feet and set my drumsticks on the snare. Maybe I should walk home. In this rain, Izzy gives me a withering look. Absolutely not. You'll get soaked through. Okay, well, you drive me then. The words come out harsher than I intend, but I'm too tense to be polite. I need to go home. I need to be there with her. Izzy's gaze softens as she searches my face. I think for a minute she's going to ask me who I'm talking about, and my stomach bottoms out. Because the home I'm talking about isn't the one at the top of the hill in Queen Anne. It's the one in Arcadia Bay. The one that's nothing more than a pile of splinters and shattered glass, roof shingles scattered around the street like flower petals. But Izzy doesn't ask me anything. She just squeezes my arm and says, I'll get my keys. Thank you, I whisper as she turns to go. But before she can so much as open the garage door, there's a loud click, and the amp, the space heater, the lights, they all go out, plunging us into darkness. It's easier to grieve in the dark. No one can see if there are tears on my face, if my eyes slide out of focus, if my lip quivers each time thunder sounds overhead. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Izzy breathes beside me. Guess practice is definitely over then. I can tell she's trying to joke. Probably she's cracked a smile. I can't see it in the dark. Sorry, Steph. She rubs a hand up my arm. The streets are going to be a mess with the lights out. I think we should stay put. And she's right. Rational thought rushes back to me in a wave, and I feel heat creep up my neck at the thought of my outburst. It's stupid to go home. Yeah, Dad's there, but it's not like last time. This isn't the same kind of storm. Seattle's a rainy place. He'll be fine. I'll be fine. We'll all be fine. I whip out my phone and turn on the flashlight. It's not much, but I can see Izzy's face in the ghostly glow, contorted halfway between concern and panic. With my other hand, I reach for her waist and give her a squeeze. You're totally right. Let's just camp out here. I nod along with my words, trying to sell myself as much as her on the concept. We can have a good old-fashioned slumber party. Yeah? Izzy relaxes in my grip. I never really had one of those growing up. You know, parents are sometimes weird about gender and sleepovers. Okay, well now we have to. I throw my hand up to cast the beam of light a little wider, revealing a path through all our stuff to the door. We're gonna need a few things, though. Do you have any candles? A smile sneaks onto Izzy's face. She's still hesitant, probably totally weirded out by how I was acting before, but there's also a spark in her eye, illuminated by my flashlight, that makes me want to pull out all the stops. She deserves to know what it's like to stay up until a ridiculous hour, talking about silly shit and sharing secrets and eating the weirdest combinations of junk food imaginable. I'm gonna make this the best slumber party ever. And maybe I'll even forget about the storm. We cobbled together a passable blanket fort in the garage, held up.
And we all know that's technically not gonna happen because she's still gonna have those issues with Mikey during the wavelengths episode, so she definitely is not going to get completely over it. But then again, with something like that, I know from experience from losing several people that I'm really close to for family and close friends alike. You never get over it. All you really can do is just learn how to deal with it and not let the sadness and stuff control you and bring you down. So you so what I like to do is focus more on all the happy and positive uh, moments and memories of them, and that's for me that's been like the best way for me to deal with it. So be anyone who deals with any stuff like that or whatnot, be strong and always keep moving forward.
Up by my cymbals and a few dining room chairs. We fill the inside with throw pillows and the big comforter from Izzy's bed. We paint our nails in the light of a Lady Gaga votive candle. And after trying all the snacks, we determine that a barbecue potato chip sandwich with a peach gummy ring in the middle is the ultimate combo. What else do people do at sleepovers? Izzy asks. She sits cross-legged, holding her newly painted toes, alternating black and purple. The light flickers over her face, an orange glow that matches our new culinary invention. You said something about secrets? Yeah, like sometimes you play games like Truth or Dare? I run my finger along the bottom of the chip bag, searching for crumbs. Okay. Truth or Dare? I ask. Izzy's practically bouncing. It's cute. So cute. I hope she picks Dare. Truth. I narrow my eyes in thought before asking.
Well, you lost that one.
Who was your cringiest childhood crush? No. Izzy hides her face behind her hands. What if I don't want to say? You could always pick Dare. I waggle my eyebrows suggestively. Or you could be like me and have no shame whatsoever. What do you mean? Who was your cringy childhood crush?
Any guesses on who that might be? Let's see. I'm thinking of one person in particular. Let's see what she says.
That is so not how the game works. But I'll give you this one as a freebie. You know The Incredibles?
Oh,
Did you like Violet? She flips her hair back. She kind of looks like me. I could do a cosplay if you're into that. Oh, I'd be very into that.
She went with she went with the dodgy answer of a fictional character. Okay. I'm a little too old for uh for when like Incredibles came out. So so I can't so I'm not gonna be the little ain't gonna be no cradle robbing going on over here. So that's way that's way beyond me. Too too old to be crushing in that department over there.
But no, not her. Okay, well, the mom is hot too. She has an absolute dump truck. And
uh, if anyone's seen Incredibles, The original Incredibles. Really good movie. Really fun movie. But Steph isn't lying. Like even when I saw The Incredibles, I was even like, wow, Disney and Pixar really went all out with the mom, giving her the only big ass. I guess they wanted to give the adults, I guess the adults something to gawk at there. Remember, it's a family picture. There has to be something in it for everybody.
And also not the mom. Oh my god, who? Edna Mode, fashion icon and short queen. I give a little flourish with my hand and say in my best Edna voice, "No capes!" Izzy burst out laughing. Okay, taste. She's amazing. Your turn. Fine. She gives me a sheepish look, a little embarrassed but mostly excited, like she's actually having a good time. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Are you kidding?
I give them high fives. High five all around. High five. Because I will say, of the many different childhood crushes I had growing up, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy in the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh boy, I was all over that as a youngin. So so I do not blame them for crushing on that because I was right there with them. So proceed.
Buffy? That's not cringe. I start to say, but Izzy holds up a finger to stop me. You didn't let me finish. Sarah Michelle Gellar, specifically as Daphne in the Scooby-Doo movies. Now it's my turn to laugh. I flop back onto the pillows and throw my hands over my face.
Also, not a bad choice because Sarah Michelle Gellar in the Scooby Doo movies was still amazing, especially for what the movie is and the role Daphne had in those movies. Sarah Michelle Gellar did an amazing job. So still can't blame Izzy on that whatsoever. But then again, I would have watched and kind of have watched Sarah Michelle Gellar in pretty much anything she was in back then. So
Those purple outfits, though? Iconic. It sure was a look. I guess you're not super into femmes anymore, though. I ask. I can't remember the last time I wore a dress, and Izzy or Leah always had to do my makeup for me. Anxiety pulls in my stomach as I glance over at her, worried I'll see a lie behind her eyes when she reassures me. Izzy tilts her head and lets out a hum. I don't think I was ever really into femmes, actually. It was more of a do I want her or do I want to be her thing, if that makes sense. Like, speaking of Buffy, Cordelia was a little bit of a trans awakening for me. Another amazing choice. Although I was always more of a Willow girl myself.
Girls, relax. All of them are good choices, okay? All right? Cuz Buffy the show itself was amazing. So please, you don't need to argue.
Okay, my turn. Truth or dare? Dare. I sit up eagerly, but her face falls a little, clearly disappointed I didn't pick truth. Oh, okay, what do I even dare you to do? Something stupid, something gross, something sexy.
Oh,
I shimmy
Lord.
my shoulders. In the end, she dares me to eat a spoonful of mayonnaise.
Ew.
So, something gross for sure.
Yeah.
We volley back and forth, her always picking truth, me always picking dare.
I do not like. I don't like mayonnaise. No offense to anyone who does like mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise.
Until finally, she groans and flops over on her stomach. When are you going to pick truth? I'm running out of weird stuff to make you eat. I'll pick truth when you pick dare, I say with a mischievous grin.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, fine. I'll pick dare. I promise. But it's your turn. I cross my arms and pull my knees up to my chest. Okay, truth. The word rushes out of me heavy and hard because I know what she's going to ask. And sure enough, why don't you like storms? It's not that I don't like storms, it's more that they don't like me. I say, but the attempt at humor falls flat, and Izzy's silent patience weighs me down until I feel as though I'll never rise from the floor until I tell her. There was a storm back home in Arcadia Bay, where I'm from. And not like a little one. A really big one. Like apocalyptic.
Plus, when the storm happens, if the storm happens, isn't that something that made the news? like, like you would think that maybe that would be a little bit more known because of how freaky the storm was and how out of nowhere the storm was. If it happens, it kind of becomes a like a weird scientific event that like baffles and makes a lot of people like curious and stuff like that anyway. So you would think she may know a little bit about that. Cuz even in double exposure, Safi even in double exposure, Safi and the rest of most of the supporting cast and stuff kind of already know about the whole Arcadia Bay thing. Even well, if Arcadia Bay gets wiped out. So yeah, it was kind of a big deal. So you would think she'd know a little bit of something already.
The whole town got destroyed. A lot of people died. And then, in a voice so small I almost don't believe it's my own, I add, my mom died. Usually when I tell people about my mom, they say they're sorry. I hate it. It's not their fault she died. And honestly, it's hard to tell if they're sorry it happened or if they're sorry they asked. But it's the only thing they can say, really. What else is there? Izzy doesn't say anything. Just moves closer until her body is pressed against mine. She wraps her arms around me and tucks her face into my neck. She holds me like I haven't been held in a long time. Maybe like I haven't been held ever. Today is the anniversary, I say after a long silence. It was 3 years ago. Most of the time I can just, not think about it. But sometimes it catches up to me, especially when it rains. Thank you for telling me, Izzy says against the nape of my neck. And it's so much better than sorry. To be thanked, like what I've said matters, like it's a part of me instead of some tragic backstory to be hidden away. I turn over in her arms and press our noses together. Your turn. Dare. I dare you to kiss me. And she does. Her mouth is warm, and her hands pull at my shirt, at my hair, at my heart. We tangle ourselves in each other until I forget the storm. Eventually, Izzy blows out the candle and settles against me to sleep. I close my eyes and let the press of her body lull me toward slumber. My limbs are heavy, my mind heavier. But then she whispers my name, and when I don't respond, she rises up on her elbows and runs a hand down my side. Truth. She whispers, and she leans in close. I love you. I should feel happy, I think. I should feel light as air. I should feel like saying it back. But the last person I said it to died right after. So I keep my eyes shut and let my breathing slow. Maybe in the morning, when the rain has stopped, I'll be able to tell Izzy how she makes me feel. Maybe by then I'll know.
That was a really really good chapter and everything. A lot of delving into Steph's some of Steph's trauma and everything from what happened. So really fun because I don't know if you know this, but sometimes in my experience, usually the most happy, like uh, like energetic, outgoing people sometimes are usually the ones that on the inside are dealing with uh, a lot of a lot of some serious shit. So sometimes that putting on that, like having that personality sometimes is also a way to kind of cover that stuff, so that way they don't uh sometimes just so that they don't have to deal with it or face it sometimes. So it's nice having that chapter there that kind of uncovered that and actually had Steph like deal with it in some way, especially with this with having a relationship, because you want to be as honest and upfront as you can be. So that's kind of Steph's moment of that's similar to what Izzy did with her trust and whatnot with Izzy's being trans, and then now with Steph opening up to Izzy also in a really personal and general and genuine way with her Arcadia Bay trauma, which led to her well, for her personally, her mom dying. So that's one thing. So really good chapter. Let's continue and see where everything continues to go.
11. Izzy doesn't say it again, content to believe I was asleep during her confession, I guess. The weeks before our Halloween show are swept away by a different kind of storm.
very good cover for Steph too, to let her believe she didn't hear it, so that way she doesn't have to have a potential the potential stereotypical argument of like, you know, I said I love you, why didn't you say it back to me, type of thing. At least at least she doesn't have to deal with that right there. So so lucky for Steph on that one, huh?
Busy schedule. It's the death of every TTRPG campaign, and as my calendar fills up with more gigs for drugstore makeup, I have room for little else. I have to cancel my sessions at Save Point 3 weeks in a row, and even Jordy has stopped checking if I'm coming over for Critical Role on Thursdays. He knows I can't, and I know I can't, but it still stings a little when his texts stop coming. Izzy is ecstatic about the growing love for drugstore makeup, though. She sends me screenshots and pictures from forums and zines highlighting our up-and-coming two-piece that embodies the spirit of be gay, do crime. She is particularly gleeful at one that says of our sound, move over gay pride and make room for gay wrath. But being in a punk band is a lot less sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and a lot more sitting in print shops, waiting for flyers, and arguing about what word rhymes best with carabiners.
To be fair, that was more of a. I think if you're thinking the band scene was gonna be more of that type of situation, I think you're several decades too late on that one. Like that was more of a common thing like back then with the abundance of like drugs and substance abuses and things like that. So thankfully though that nowadays it's a lot is stuff like that is a lot better, and you don't have to and it's not that big of a it's not as prevalent of a problem. So so you girls are lucky that that's not a thing. Espe- Especially considering that y'all are girls. So it would that would potentially be an even more dangerous situation to be in. Okay?
We're unveiling 3 new original songs at our Halloween gig, and Izzy fiddles with the lyrics until the last minute, eventually surprising me by rhyming Stonewall with blue balls on stage. It makes me laugh so hard I nearly miss the crash with my drumstick. I love that her brain works so fast like that, coming up with brilliant lyrics on the fly. I love a lot of things about her brain. Like how she has so much to write about. If I had to write a song on my own, it would probably be about cleaning the coffee grinder or rolling dice. Not exactly thought-provoking stuff. But not Izzy. She feels with her whole heart, every emotion under the sun. It kills me that her old band wanted her to hide that part of herself away. And maybe this is what love is. Maybe it's wanting her to be exactly who she is because she's my person. Maybe it's not just a collection of things I love about her. Maybe it's her. Or maybe I just wish it was. We finish our set to an uproar of applause. I spot Jordy and Ollie near the front, dressed as Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, surrounded by what looks to be a group of pirates. Izzy grabs my hand as we descend the steps, engulfed by our friends who, despite our flakiness lately, showed up for us anyway. "Girl, what are you supposed to be?" Ollie asks as he spins me around. Izzy's obviously a vampire, but I glance down at my costume. A black bodysuit with pleather wings sewn along the arms and a big blue eyeball in the center. It's far from my best, but at least it's better than the mayonnaise year. "I'm bat and eye," I say, fluttering my eyelashes rapidly. Jordy groans. "That's bad, even for you." "Careful, or I'll tell everyone about your idea for an undead ice skater called the Zombini." He whacks me on the arm. I told you that under the influence of mini beers. Speaking of, I would like to consume mini beers. I let Jordy and Ollie lead me toward the bar, dragging Izzy along with me. Attack-o' lanterns take the stage after us, while we form an oddball conga line to skirt around the crowd. The venue is packed. A few people wave or give a thumbs up as we pass. I know they didn't all come out to see us. We're just one of half a dozen bands in the lineup, but it feels great to know that so many people heard our music. I lean down to say as much to Izzy, pressing my lips to her ear, but her face goes rigid, her eyes trained on a zombie nurse. At first, I think she's just entranced by the general grossness of the costume. The bloodstains are really well done. But then I recognize the cropped red hair of her former bandmate, Astrid. "Hey, Iz," she says. Then to my surprise, she turns to me. "Steph, right? You were really good tonight." "Oh, thanks." I try to smile, but my fingers grip Izzy's wrist tight. And I wish I could leave it at that, but the last time we saw Astrid is burned into my brain. Her cruel words, the way she practically taunted us. And I can't help but add, "You're not playing tonight?" Astrid, to her credit, doesn't quite sneer in response. "They asked, but Bellamy had a prior engagement, so we had to decline. It's nice that they gave the slot to someone who really needs it." She groans and puts her head in her hands. Sorry. I didn't come here to be an asshole." "Why did you come here?" Izzy asks, fists clenched by her sides. Astrid leans heavily into one hip and sighs. "I actually wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have a minute?" I immediately step forward, ready to tell this girl that Izzy absolutely doesn't have a minute. Not for her, anyway, but Izzy nods and pries my fingers from her arm. "Yeah, okay." "You sure?" I murmur, trying to catch Izzy's eye. She doesn't look at me. Instead, she says, "Yeah, I'll be back in a bit. Get me a blackberry something or other." And she walks off with Astrid toward the green room.
At least this time, when somebody is going to talk to somebody away without the main protagonist being with them, at least this time somebody doesn't have a gun. so so at least no one's in danger of getting shot in this situation. So if you know, you know.
"Well, shit." Ollie leans against the bar, eyebrows practically scratching his hairline. "You just gonna let that happen?" "Izzy's an adult. She can handle herself." But as I drink my beer, I grit my teeth against the sour taste in my mouth. All the ice in Izzy's blackberry mojito is melted before she returns to the main room. There's a new band on stage. Undedicated. And Jordy and Ollie have forced me out onto the crowd to dance. I wave my arms around and pump my fists into the air, trying to shed the discomfort of Astrid's presence, of Izzy's willingness to go with her. It's none of my business, I tell myself. In fact, now that we're done playing for the night, the only business I have is hanging with my friends and eating too much Halloween candy. A hand lands on my hip, light and hesitant. I turn into Izzy's grip and throw my arms over her shoulders. "You're back," I shout. Just in time. I was getting sick of being a third wheel. Izzy doesn't join our dance huddle, though. She just tugs on my bodysuit and gestures with her head over to the door. "Can we talk?" I can barely hear her over the music, but the shape of her lips is unmistakable. So is the crease in her forehead and the rise of her shoulders. "Yeah, of course." I follow her to the fringes of the room where she says something I absolutely cannot hear over the music. "What?" She groans and pushes open a door. Cold air catches us as we spill out onto the street, and the temperature whiplash hits me hard. So do the sounds. Inside was all rock and roll and partying, but outside it's eerily muffled. In the distance, I can hear sirens and the loud exhale of a bus coming to a stop. That's better. Izzy says, but her voice is clipped like it's really, really not. What's up? I try to pull her closer, for warmth, but also for comfort. But she dodges my fingers. What did Astrid want?
Mm.
I emphasize the first half of her name for maximum rudeness. Izzy doesn't reply, running her hands up and down her arms as she paces in front of me, eyes trained on the sidewalk. That bad? Ugh, I knew it. I throw my arms out a little more intensely than I intend, and I stumble a little. I probably should have stopped after one drink. At least until Izzy got back. I should have come with you. She's such a fucking jerk. Whatever she said, she's wrong, okay? You're an amazing musician, and your songs are brilliant. She's just jealous she can't write anything as good. Yeah, I know. Izzy stops pacing now and looks up at me. That's what she said, anyway. She actually apologized. My eyebrows shoot up. Like, sincerely? Seems so. Izzy shrugs. She asked me to come back. To Vinyl Resting Place. Oh. The word lands like a sprained ankle. I can't find it in myself to be happy or sad. All I can feel is inevitability. Because, of course, this whole thing was too good to be true, and I should have known. Izzy's so talented, and I'm just, well, I'm me.
Well, there's that self-doubt
I'm lucky
again.
it lasted as long as it did. This little adventure where I got to be a punk rocker. Where I got to be with Izzy. Where I got to be loved. Oh. I repeat, and it sounds even worse the second time. Jealousy makes a mess of my insides, twisting and tugging and turning my words to ash in my mouth. Say something, Steph. You have to do better than that. I'm not better. I'm me. For this little scrap of time, I got to be her version of that. But take away the drum set and the eyeliner, and I'm still the same old Steph. I can't compare with Astrid and Vinyl Resting Place. I shouldn't try to compete. That will only end with me losing. So I swallow my pride and do my best to be supportive. I guess that's good? I try on a smile, but it feels too small, too tight. I'm happy for you, if you're happy. You're happy for me? Izzy's deadpan gives away nothing. This is what you want, right? Images flash before my eyes of what could be. Izzy, headlining with Vinyl Resting Place at Pride, singing her songs with a full band behind her, winning the battle of the bands, going on tour, kissing Astrid beneath bright neon lights. It's what she's been working toward, and I can't be the one who takes that from her. What I want? Anger bleeds into her tone now, raw and red. Fuck! You think that's what I want? To be begrudgingly let back into a group that didn't like me that much to begin with? You think I want to go back to that? I pluck at the arm of my bodysuit, letting the fabric snap back against my skin in rhythm with her words.
Okay, so Steph really fucked up there. She should have, instead of assuming what happened, just, she should have just, like, asked, like, even deeper of, like, okay, well, you know, what do you want? Type of thing. Instead of assuming what she wanted, she should have asked what you want. So kind of stepped on a easily avoidable landmine on that one. So
I mean, you want to win Battle of the Bands, right? I figure they're your best shot. Fucking hell, Steph. You are so dense sometimes.
I can't
She
argue
drags
with
her
that.
hands down her face, leaving behind trails of makeup. from sweat or tears. I can't tell. If you don't want to play with me anymore, you can just say it, okay? I won't force you. I can't force you. What? I shake my head to clear it, deeply regretting that third drink. This conversation would be so much easier sober. No, that's not what I mean at all. I love playing with you. Uh-huh. She fixes me with an incinerating stare. You love playing with me? I see how it is. She turns to go back inside, hair whipping me in the face as she leaves. I lunge for her hand. See how what is? My heart beats into my throat, pounding against my words like a hammer. When Izzy turns around, I see the tears. They trace a river of mascara down her cheeks. Her voice cracks a little over the words, but she says them anyway. And this time, I can't pretend I'm asleep. I love you, Steph. I want to play with you. I want to win with you. I want to live my life with you. But if you don't want that, if you don't love me back, just say so, okay? I stand there, too quiet, too still. I know in the vague sense that my mouth is open, but no words are coming out. The response she wants hovers at the tip of my tongue. I could say it. I could say it and maybe I'd even mean it. I love you too. It's not that hard to say. It should be easy. It should be so easy. But as I try to form the words on my lips, it's Mom I'm talking to instead of Izzy. And she's going to die. I say them out loud. She dies. That's how it goes. So maybe I should tell Izzy I'm sorry. I don't love her. I'll go back to my life, to my blank, boring walls, to my coffee shop life where I'm Steph, the girl who used to be in a punk two-piece with this amazing rock star. I'll make espresso and zines and bad jokes, but I'll never again make music. I'll never make Izzy laugh, but I'll never make her cry either. And that might be worth it. Steph. Izzy says my name like a sigh. And this is it. Either I want her or I don't. I love her or I don't. I have to say something. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I can just say nothing at all. Izzy shakes her head and pulls her arm from my grasp. Message received, she says. And then she's gone, along with my chance to decide for myself what kind of future I want. 12. I'm dressed like a bat, but I make my way home more like a ghost. My feet brush the concrete, but I barely notice. Dad and Renee are on the couch watching Hocus Pocus. They ask me to join them, I think, but I just float upstairs and collapse on my bed without changing. How long I lie there, I don't know. I keep waiting to feel something like relief or regret, but all I feel is numb. My phone buzzes with text messages from Jordy and Ollie, but my eyes blur over when I try to read them. Something about fighting a raccoon in an alley and ordering too much pizza while they debate the virtue of artichoke as a pizza topping in our group chat. I roll over and stare at the wall. The wall stares back. I still don't have enough stuff to cover it up. I could get one of those big wall hangings just to keep the white paint at bay, but then I'd have to pick something that feels important enough to cover that much space. Maybe I can fill more space with Pride merch or some Critical Role art. But when I close my eyes and try to imagine what this room could look like, decorated by me, all I can see is Izzy. I want to play with you. I want to win with you. I want to live my life with you. The room transforms before me. A purple throw rug, sapphic poetry on the nightstand, drumsticks piled in a neat basket by the door. It's the room Izzy described. the one she decorated with her mind for me. I want to be there. And I don't want to be there alone. My eyes snap open. My brain is alert, focused, quiet, but for one word. Izzy. I don't think. I fly down the stairs and out the door. It takes me about 30 minutes to walk from my place to hers, but it feels like hours. I'm drenched by the time I arrive on her doorstep. Rain and sweat mingling for an altogether cold and clammy experience. But I don't care. I'd sit on a glacier or in a bucket of lava if it meant seeing Izzy again. When I do, it takes my eyes a few seconds to adjust. She's washed her face of makeup, tired circles casting shadows beneath her eyes. I can't tell if she's been crying, but then I can't tell if I have either. Her hair is pulled back in a butterfly clip, but a few strands have broken free to frame her face. It takes everything in me not to grab her by the front of her dark red flannel pajamas and kiss her right there in the rain. Instead, I say, "Hi. Great. Good. Suave. Real substantive stuff." Izzy doesn't say anything,
She's over here roasting
which
herself.
I choose to take as a good sign. I'm an idiot. Excellent. Really building on the momentum. I shake my head, scattering water everywhere. What I mean to say is I'm not very good at this. I've never done it before, and I kind of freaked out. Izzy flinches as some of the water from my hair lands on her. Her face remains stoic and unreadable, but at least she's not slamming the door in my face. I like you so much, and when you said your old band wanted you back, I thought you were trying to, soft dump me? I swallow hard, the unsettled feeling in my stomach rising with the memory. And I got, I don't know, defensive? Like if you were going to hurt me anyway, I might as well make it easier and do it myself, you know? Izzy crosses her arms and looks just left of my shoes. Save it, Steph. I'm really not in the mood for an explanation. You broke my heart. It's over. Let's just not do this, okay? It's gonna suck, whether I understand it or not. So no need to rehash your feelings for my benefit. I freeze. And maybe it's the cold catching up to me, or maybe it's the lifelessness in her voice. She's telling me to let it go, but me letting it go is how we got here in the first place. So I gather my courage and say, "You don't know how I'm feeling, Izzy. That's what I'm trying to say." "Oh, I don't know how you're feeling?" She takes a step out onto the porch, bare feet gripping the welcome mat. "I told you I loved you, Steph, and you didn't say it back. I think it's pretty fucking obvious how you feel." "That's it, though. You didn't give me a chance to explain." "Fine, fucking explain." It's all so much. The harshness in her tone, the cold wind battering me from every angle, the unsaid words on the tip of my tongue. I wish I could just take her in my arms and show her how I feel with every touch, every kiss. But Izzy wants to hear me say it aloud. And even if it makes me want to curl into a ball and disassociate for hours, I have to do this for her. And for me, too. I want it. I say, hoping if I start there, I'll find the finish line. Everything. Playing together in drugstore makeup, writing songs on the floor of your garage until 3 a.m, slow dancing to AC/DC like a couple of weirdos. I want it all. You said you wanted a life together. And I think I do too. You think? She asks, but the edge is gone from her voice, like maybe she believes me. I'm not great at talking about these things. I recall how I still haven't confronted Dad about Renee, and about the 6-month-old unanswered text message from Mikey sitting on my phone, because if I think about him too much, then I'll think about Mom. And it's not just a you thing, it's everyone. Maybe it's the dead mom trauma, or maybe it's the whole broken home divorce shit, but you're important to me, Izzy. I care about you. I want you. Izzy looks at me with hope in her eyes, and it's enough to help me stick the landing. However clumsily. I may not express it the way you do, in exactly the words you do, but I do. I run my tongue along my teeth, pleading with my mouth to cooperate. If I don't say it, she may not believe me, and I'm too far in to chicken out now. I love you. It comes out squeaky and small and not at all how love confession should go. But at least I'm absolutely soaked through and standing in the rain. I will have my Mr. Darcy moment, even if it all goes to shit after. Okay, Izzy says quietly. She takes another step and another, until she's standing in the open with me, rain tearing through her pajamas. Okay, she repeats. Her hands settle on my hips, and she kisses me. Her lips are soft and warm, if not wet with rainwater, and her touch is like an electric shock. I surge forward, crashing into her. It may not be a movie-worthy makeout, but I don't care. Everywhere we touch, I feel a little life come back to my skin. But even with Izzy's body pressed to mine, I can't help but shiver. Izzy pulls away, and I feel my entire body mourn the loss of her heat. But then she drags me forward toward the house. Come on, she says with a little skip in her step. You're soaked through, and I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to get you out of this bodysuit. It's not until I've been standing under a steady stream of hot water for at least 5 minutes that the feeling starts to come back to my limbs. I tried to get Izzy to hop in the shower with me, but it turns out standing in the rain without a jacket for almost an hour is my kryptonite. I don't melt like a witch or anything, but poor Izzy has to practically shuck the bodysuit off me and put me under the hot water like I'm a child who won't comply with bath time. You alive in there? Izzy calls from outside the bathroom. I don't know, I shout back. How do you feel about dating an undead girl? It worked in Carmilla, so as long as you skew more vampire and less zombie, I think I'll manage. Not into rotting flesh? You know,
That's funny.
you'd think it would be that, but actually I'm more worried that my culinary skills won't be up to the challenge of aesthetically plating brains. Garnish with a little arugula and balsamic, maybe some parmesan. Izzy's laughter is like a balm to my soul through the closed door. Okay, point taken. I'm going to make us some hot cocoa, but I've left some extra PJs by the door. I take my time getting dressed, luxuriating a little in the feel of flannel across my skin. It's not until I've buttoned the last button and squeezed the water from my hair that I realize the feeling has returned to my flesh. But I still feel numb inside. I drum my fingers on the countertop and stare at my reflection. I look the same as I always do. A little soggy, but nothing else has changed. I don't know what I expected. It's not like saying the L word is that transformative, right? Maybe I don't feel different because saying it doesn't actually change me that much. I still feel how I feel. I decide it's that, because the alternative is too much to process.
It's also really nice that the nervous confession and situation with Steph and is Steph confessing to having a full on emotional confession to Izzy here also contrasts with her more confident and outgoing confession to Alex in True Colors. If you go with Steph as the romance option in the game, so kind of shows at least in that respect, she definitely grew a lot in that aspect from uh, from the time period in this book to where she winds up in True Colors. So that's a really fun 180 moment for her, which is a really positive 180 moment for her. So nice to see that little character growth on that one.
It hangs in the back of my mind, though. A gentle reminder that just because you say something out loud doesn't make it true. Izzy's waiting for me at the kitchen table, 2 steaming mugs before her. She slides one toward me with an illustration of a possum on it. "Feeling okay?" she asks. I nod and take a seat across from her, silently lamenting that she set us up opposite each other instead of somewhere I can more easily touch her. She picks up her own mug, white with blue lettering that says, "I love you, Alatka." Warm? Yeah. Could be warmer, though. I give my eyebrows a suggestive bounce over my mug. Izzy laughs, but doesn't move closer. I thought we should probably talk more first. I grunt, noncommittally. The last thing I want to do right now is talk. I want to snuggle down next to Izzy, breathe in her scent, hold her so close I can feel her heartbeat. I don't want to waste time on words. It's just not talking about what we are feeling is how we got into the situation to begin with, and I don't want to make that mistake again. She's not wrong, so I nod and take a sip of my cocoa. Right, so at first I think she's going to ask me more about my mom or something, but instead she says, "I definitely have abandonment issues." Or, I don't know, whatever it is when people constantly tell you that you're not enough, or that you're too much and never just right. What do they think life is? Goldilocks and the 3 bears? Joke all you want. But yeah, that's exactly what life is. Izzy drops her eyes to her mug, watching the marshmallows melt into a white cream. We're all looking for our perfect fit, whether that's a person, or a place, or a group, or a goal. And I know I can't be that for every single person I meet. I've had enough therapy to know, intellectually, all I can do is be myself.
Mm-mm.
But it's hard to look at the evidence and emotionally feel like myself is good enough. People always leave, one way or another. It's happened with the band, with my friends, with roommates. I guess I was just waiting for it to happen with you, too. My chest feels torn in 2. Half heartbroken for her and the way she's been made to feel, half angry that she put that all on me, like she set me up to fail. Okay, but that's not fair, I know. Izzy knits her fingers together around the base of her mug, still staring into it like the marshmallow goo on top will somehow reveal the future. I shouldn't have done that, and I'm sorry. Her apology hits me like a freight train. It's unexpected and unearned, I think. I'm the one who pretended not to hear her say, "I love you." I'm the one who couldn't say it back. But I'm the one who fucked up, I say quietly. Izzy finally looks up. We both fucked up, Steph. So we both work to fix it. Okay? She lays her hand on top of the table, palm open. An invitation. I've never RSVP'd so fast. I put my hand in hers and let her lead me to the garage, where we pile onto the bed and tangle our limbs and promise to try harder and do better. We talk through the night. She tells me about her hopes, about her fears, about her absolutely unhinged love for peanut butter and pickled sandwiches. I hold her, lips pressed to her hair, while she cries as she recounts being left by a transphobic ex. As she explains how it felt to be rejected by her high school's cheer squad. As she worries over what to do when one of her housemates moves out and a new, unknown person takes their spot. And when the sun rises, dappling the blankets with patchy light, I don't want to go home. So I stay. Winter. 13. I move in a few weeks later. It only takes one trip to get all my stuff from Dad's to Izzy's, though he certainly tries to stall me while I'm packing. It's the end of an era, he writes in an email to which he has attached a baby picture of me and a screenshot of a frowny face emoji. If by era you mean 8 months, then sure. I respond and tack on a clown emoji for good measure. The response comes immediately. A photo of a stack of DVDs, Jurassic Park, National Treasure, and of course, Blade Runner. I groan, but I can't help the smile spreading across my face.
Again with Blade Runner. Clearly, she really likes Blade Runner. Can't blame her though.
Face. You know, not that much is going to change once I'm gone, I say as I hop down the stairs 2 at a time. It's not like we've really lived together these past months anyways. Maybe we slept under the same roof, but the experience didn't really bring us any closer. Beg to differ, Dad greets me in the hall, holding a can of orange soda with a crazy straw and a big bowl of popcorn. For starters, I'll never have a reason to buy this toxic sludge again. He points to the soda. Elixir of the gods, I think you meant to say. I take the can and slurp a mouthful through the straw. So what do you say? One last movie night with your old man? I raise an eyebrow. You don't have to make it sound so funereal. You're not that old. And I'm only moving across the Ballard Bridge. So far, a whole 10-minute drive. He presses the back of his hand to his forehead, feigning a swoon. However will you go on without me? He holds up Jurassic Park and says, life finds a way. We settle in for an afternoon of dinosaurs and Laura Dern, which bleeds into an evening of Nick Cage being his Nick Cageiest. Dad pauses the movie just as he says, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. And I let out a wail of protest. Oh, come on, I shout, but my disapproval fades when I see Renee come through the front door carrying a pizza box. I'm not here to crash the party, she says preemptively. Just thought you might be hungry after all that packing. Dad leaps to his feet to help her with the box. Ravenous. Sure, we all know who did most of the work. She winks at me and passes me a potted plant with fuzzy leaves and little blue flowers. I thought this might be nice for your new place. It's an African violet. So make sure you don't overwater it. Oh, wow. You really didn't have to. I run my fingers over the soft leaves. My stomach swoops low as I'm reminded that I'll never have this kind of moment with Mom. She'll never help me move into a new place, never have an opinion about my girlfriend, never get me a housewarming gift to show me she approves. But somehow this little gesture from Renee feels like not quite permission, but acknowledgement. Like I'm really doing this. Like on some level, Renee thinks it's the right move. It's almost enough. Thanks, I say, surprised to find my throat tight, tears pinpricking my eyes. Renee gives my shoulder a squeeze, then goes to help Dad in the kitchen, giving me time to get a hold of myself. Once the pizza's on plates, real ones, not paper, thanks to Renee, she leaves us to finish our movie. We munch quietly on pineapple and pepperoni as Nick Cage plans and executes his heist. When the credits roll, Dad hits mute and turns to me. Do you like her? He asks. Who, the blonde actress? I point toward the TV. Dad chuckles. No, Renee. Oh. I chew slowly, buying myself time. Do I like Renee? I don't really know Renee, except yes, I do. She showed up to my gig with a bouquet of flowers without ever meeting me. She came to me to talk about her and Dad without me ever asking. Tonight she brought me a potted plant and a pizza and didn't even stay to eat any, just to make my last night here with Dad fun. How weird is that? To do all those things for me. But then maybe they're not really for me. They're for Dad. And that's all I need to know. There are dozens of things I could say, but instead I just say, she has really good taste in pizza. I'm a lucky guy. He holds up a slice to toast with mine. I see this for the moment it is. The opportunity to actually say what's on my mind. Why didn't you just tell me about her? Dad sets his pizza down and looks anywhere but at me. His eyes skate over the stack of DVDs to his feet to mine. Finally, he clears his throat and says, I tried, sweetie. Bullshit. I did. I kept inviting you to meet her, but you were always busy, and I guess I figured maybe you didn't want to know. I open my mouth to protest again, but a memory filters back. Him asking me to have dinner with a coworker, me blowing him off to hang out with Izzy. I want to say if I'd known it was a girlfriend and not just someone from work, maybe I would have said yes, but I don't know if that's true. Dad's eyes finally flick up to mine, and there's a fatigue there I don't expect to see. Sweetie, I know this might be hard for you because of how you feel about your mom, but you don't know anything about how I feel about Mom. The words leave my lips like the crack of a whip, and I wish immediately I could take them back. I fight the urge to make myself smaller, to make myself uncomfortable instead of him. I'm so used to shoving my feelings down for other people's benefit, but I don't want to do that anymore. At least not with Dad. You're right. Dad leans back into the sofa and draws his knees to his chest. Your mom and I stopped having a relationship a long time before she died, so it's different. But that doesn't mean I don't miss her in my own way. Probably weird to talk about it with me, but I hope you do talk about her. I nod, the weight of tears heavy behind my eyes. I don't want to cry tonight. Not about this, not in front of him. Izzy, I say. She's the only person I've told about Mom. The only person I've had to. Good. Quiet wraps around us, but the conversation doesn't feel over. Do you like her? I ask, echoing his question from earlier. Dad doesn't respond for a minute, and I think maybe I just thought the question instead of asking. From what you tell me, Izzy's resourceful and resilient, and she really cares about you. I don't think I could ask for much more for my daughter. So, yeah? You like her? I grip the carpet with my toes, waiting for his answer. My heart thunders against my ribcage, like a percussive bass drum, punctuating our conversation. Say yes, I think over and over again. I don't know, Steph. And really, I don't think it matters. He squeezes my shoulder and pulls me in for a side hug. It's a lot more important that you like her. Anyone else's opinion is just that, an opinion. It's not the answer I want. I almost press him on it, but he beats me to it. You do like her, don't you? He asks with a chuckle. I sure hope so, if you're moving in together. That's a big step. I match his laugh with mine, though it feels hollow. Yeah, of course I do, I say a little too quickly. Because the thing is, I do like Izzy. I like her a lot. But what if it's not enough? What if I still let her down? Good. Okay. You up for Blade Runner? He waves the director's cut in front of me. I'm tempted, but it's getting late and I still have to unpack. I don't know. Why don't we save it for next time? Next time. He nods, a grin sneaking out beneath his mustache. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I wrestle my feet into my shoes and double-check the hallway for any remaining boxes before giving him a wave. I shut the door behind me. It's closed, but not locked. I can come back any time. As I drive away in Izzy's van, not even half full, and glance in the rearview mirror at the little white house on the hill, it still doesn't feel like home. But when Izzy greets me in the driveway of hers with a smile and open arms, I'm not totally sure this does either. Wait, you can't go in, Izzy says as I step toward the open front door. I nearly drop the box I'm holding. If she's changed her mind about me moving in, but then I spot a strip of cloth in her hand and the wicked smile on her face. I did something. A surprise. She steps up behind me to tie the cloth around my eyes, fingers ghosting against my hair. A blindfold, huh? I lean back into her touch and waggle my eyebrows. Izzy swats my arm and says, "Oh my God, Steph, it's not like that." Yeah? But it could be, if you want. I resist the urge to needle her more and instead set the box down and let her lead me by the hand toward the house. I only trip twice, once on the porch steps and once over my own shoelaces. Izzy stops to tie them for me, and there's something so oddly sweet about it that I wish more than anything I could take the blindfold off and kiss her. Finally, she stops me and positions my shoulders. Okay, you ready? As I'll ever be. It takes a moment to adjust to the lighting. It's dark outside now, but I don't expect it to be inside as well. She flips a switch, and little twinkling lights come to life everywhere, speckles of gold running along the walls of the living room. She's cleared space on one of the bookshelves, so there's an empty gap next to her poetry collection. I thought maybe we could put some of your zines here, she says, pointing to the shelf. And oh, there's more. She tugs me forward through the kitchen, where she's placed a bottle of wine, and into the garage. She's moved the bed out from the wall to make room for a second bedside table. On it is a copy of Judith Butler's Gender Trouble, and a greeting card that says, "Welcome, Homo." In place of the usual pile of laundry, she's laid out a purple throw rug. Even her dresser has been condensed to make room for my clothes. It's all so much like the room she once described for me, with all the little touches to make it feel like mine too. It's a gesture I never would have thought to make. I take it in, running my fingers over the empty space I now have to fill. Do you like it? She asks, voice tight and full of hope. You shouldn't have, I say. And really, I wish she hadn't. It is so much easier to fit myself into her life as is, to just slip through the cracks of this existing world she's built for herself. Instead, she's cleared all this space for me, and I don't know how to be big enough for it. I don't know how to put words to that feeling, so instead I throw on a smile. You have been a busy worker bee. I cross the room to tweak her nose and press a kiss to her cheek. Why don't you open that bottle of wine I saw in the kitchen while I unload my stuff? Are you sure? I can help. She follows me from the garage, bouncing a little on her toes. I shrug her off. Nah, don't worry about it. It won't take long. And then we can celebrate. Maybe with the blindfold? She laughs at that and trots off to the kitchen for a bottle opener, leaving me to finish unpacking. True to my word, it doesn't take long. I only have a few boxes and my suitcase. I throw my zines in a pile on the bookshelf and fold my clothes into drawers. But when Izzy calls to me from the kitchen to ask if I'm ready, I glance down at a still partially full suitcase, art supplies and loose dice rattling around inside. It feels like it belongs to another version of Steph, the one who isn't in a punk band, who doesn't have a girlfriend, who still lives in Arcadia Bay, GMing for Mikey and Chloe and Rachel. The Steph who still has a mom to come home to at the end of the day. My hand snakes up over my heart, the muscles tight across my chest. I know that version of Steph is still in there somewhere, still a part of me. But I don't want to look at her. Not yet. I shove the suitcase into a corner. For now, I'd rather drink wine with Izzy. The thing about baggage, though, is it's still heavy whether you unpack it or not. 14.
Okay, so we will do this one last chapter, since this chapter is less than 14 minutes long, and then we'll wrap it up for the day.
We ring in the new year in style. That is to say, dressed in sequins and playing for a crowd of at least 200. We debut our new song, Compton Cafeteria, to an enthusiastic cheering section of friends and even some strangers. It's the most on I've felt behind the drums since our first gig. The applause sets me on fire as I hit the crash and ride simultaneously, ending our set with a flourish. "Thank you so much," Izzy shouts into the microphone. I swoop up behind her, hands snaking around her hips, and I add, "Happy New Year!" "Not for another hour and a half," says Brenna, the MC for the night, as she takes the mic from Izzy. "We've still got lots of music for you tonight." I tug Izzy free from the amp and lead her off stage. Ollie and Jordy are waiting with drinks and a plate of garlic knots. My heroes. I reach ravenously for the mound of garlicky goodness. I haven't eaten since lunch. Ollie offers the plate to Izzy, but she shakes her head. "No, I'm good. Too much adrenaline to eat." "More for me," I say through a mouthful of bread. There's some feedback on the mic and the MC returns to announce the next band. "Put your hands together, or hooks, if you've got 'em, for your favorite local pirates, the High Seas." I very nearly drop a mouthful of chewed garlic knot with the way my jaw hangs open. I turn around and, lo and behold, I see Tammy, Dex, Dwight, and Pixie take the stage. Last I heard from Pixie, they were still on tour, but that was months ago. I guess I've been pretty wrapped up in my own world lately.
Surprise!
But still, I feel bad that I didn't know they were back in town. "Ahoy there," Tammy says, waving at the crowd. She's wearing an eye patch and a big ruffled collar, with her natural black curls piled atop her head. "We're so thrilled to be back in our hometown, Seattle." She emphasizes the first syllable for puntastic effect. "Now, are you ready to rock this boat?" And rock it they absolutely do. Watching the High Seas do their thing is otherworldly. Tammy is a captivating singer. She makes the whole stage her instrument, dancing back and forth like she's a sound wave all on her own.
Especially if you read the comics, you can read some of the lyrics and stuff for some of the High Seas songs that they do throughout the comic books. Really, really good. Especially considering, I believe Emma Vicelli, the writer for the comic books, had to actually kind of become a lyrical writer to make those songs and actually make them like make sense as a song. Would be nice if somebody actually tried to make those songs an actual like full song with with actual instruments and stuff. That would be interesting to hear, like some actual High Seas music. That would be a fun little thing for fans to enjoy. That'd be fun.
Dwight produces some of the slickest guitar riffs I've heard. Fingers flying across the bridge of his burnt orange electric guitar. He's wearing a tricorn pirate hat over his platinum blonde dyed hair. and his sunglasses reflect the light from the disco ball above the stage, casting little rainbow lights across his dark skin. Just behind him, Dex is tearing it up on the keyboard. He's changed his hair since the last time I saw him. Vibrant purple on the left and dark red on the right. A stuffed parrot sits on his shoulder, bouncing up and down as his fingers travel across the keys. And then there's Pixie. She may be in the very back, but she's putting on a show just the same. A striped bandana tied over her hijab. She drums with such ferocity.
Haha, I did get it right. Good job. Yay. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I believe I did get it right. If I remember correctly. You can fact check me from the last episode.
And spirit, that I momentarily forget I'm in a room full of people, and it isn't just me and the beat. Ollie reaches over to rescue the plate of garlic knots from my limp arms, and Jordy snaps a picture of my stunned face. Did you know they were going to be here? I ask, when I regain control over my mouth. Yeah, didn't you check the flyer? Izzy picks one up from a nearby table and hands it to me. And there it is, their name next to ours. I can't believe we opened for the high seas and no one told me. But did no one tell you, or is your reading comprehension just shit? Ollie tweaks my nose affectionately. I'm getting drinks. Who wants what? As Ollie trots off with Jordy.
Don't make me... Steph needs to not... Ollie and Steph need to stop making jokes when I'm in the middle of drinking something. Because I didn't even swallow the drink yet. And then you make a joke and I almost fucking choke on myself over here.
In tow to get our first round, Izzy says, I didn't know you were a fan of shanties. I mean, I love a good shanty, but that's not all. I know these guys. I point unnecessarily at the stage. Pixie, the drummer, she's basically my teacher. I can't wait for you to meet her. Oh, that's cool. But Izzy's expression has glazed over and she jabs a thumb at the green room. I'm gonna go take a minute. Need to decompress. Okay. I want to ask her to stay. I want to ask her why she doesn't. Instead, I just say, don't go too far, though. I want my midnight kiss. Sure. She pecks me on the cheek, and then she's gone. Izzy pull her disappearing act again? Jordy asks when they return. I swear that girl should have her own magic show. I shrug it off, deciding that maybe if I don't talk about it, it won't bother me. I'm used to this habit of hers by now. At every gig we've had, she doesn't stick around to listen to the other acts or celebrate a gig well played. She goes back to the van instead, leaving me to find the fun for myself. I know it's probably just a difference in post-gig rituals, but it's still jarring. I lose myself in the sound of my favorite pirate rockers. I sing along to their punkified version of Drunken Sailor, with half my usual gusto. And even their new song about some rich guy having a midlife crisis to become a pirate in the 18th century can't raise my spirits. It's 1:45 by the time the high seas spill off the stage to uproarious applause. I join in, trying to hype myself up to greet them. But before I can so much as set down my drink, Pixie's making a beeline for me. Steph, she calls out over the crowd, waving wildly in my direction.
Why wouldn't
It's so good to see you. Ditto, you were great tonight. I open my arms to receive hugs from everyone.
Yeah, just so hey, my love for Pixie and the High Seas is more from is obviously more from the comics because I've read because the comics and everything came out well before this novel came out, and it was and this novel came out in the middle of I think this novel came out right was it before Mm, let me see. Is there a date here? It's probably in the front. Oh, okay. Yeah, this came out when the comics were starting to wrap things up because the comics were wrapping up in 2003 in 2023 when the year before Double Exposure was even announced. So they already got so Emma and Claudia and the rest of the creative team for the comic books already got head notice from Square Enix to already wrap up the comic storyline because they were primarily going to use Max as the main character for Double Exposure, so they didn't want the comics happening at the exact same time and keeping that going, and at the same time the video game. So normal thing of you don't want two similar things to potentially cannibalize the audience of the other. So kind of understandable. But at least the ending for the comic books was not rushed or anything. It all felt really natural. So it's not like Square Enix sprung that on them to end the comic books like right out of nowhere. Like no, they already had an ending and everything in mind, and they were already set that stuff up. So it was a very natural end. It didn't feel rushed or anything.
which they provide all at once. Who cares about us? You were fantastic. Tammy squeezes me even harder. When Pix said you'd started playing again, I just knew you'd be great. That's really nice of you, I say. But do you think... Could I have a little air? What? Not into death by group hug? Dwight asks and ruffles my hair. I smooth it back down and grin. That would be a sweet band name. Okay, speaking of sweet band names, Drugstore Makeup has a cool ring to it. Dex nudges me with his elbow. Thank you, thank you. I give a little bow. Dwight looks around, craning his neck to see over the crowd.
Steph is so modest, isn't she?
Where's, your vocalist? What's her name? Izzy? Oh, I don't know, actually. For a moment, surrounded by my fellow musicians appreciating my art, I'd forgotten to miss her. We're gonna grab drinks, but maybe when we get back, you can introduce us? Tammy gives me a wink and tell us what the deal is. You two looked pretty cozy up there. She and Dwight disappear to the bar, while Dex seems to have found camaraderie with his fellow trans masks and Jordy and Ollie, leaving me alone with Pixie.
Mm.
If I'd known you were going to be here, I begin, but Pixie cuts me off. You would have been so nervous, right? Opening for your idols is a big deal.
Oh, that's another thing. I think they just revealed what was it? One of the band members of the High Seas is actually a trans man. So, because I believe the comic books didn't. I don't think they actually stated that in the comics. I don't believe they did. Because the High Seas um are in the comics a lot, especially during the second half of the comic book run. The High Seas are pretty much like main supporting characters and always around pretty much. So I don't think there was a line that was said in there that confirmed that one of the I believe it's the one with I think it's the white guy with the pink hair. I think he's the one that they're referring to. That's trans. Because I don't think it's the black guy. I think it's the one with the pink hair. But either way, it's it's a little throwaway thing here, but a little confirmation of that here. I don't know if I think Emma may have, because Emma's the one that created the high seas for specifically for the comic books anyway. So I don't know if she confirmed that herself, and then she may have, and that's probably why the novel here worked that in. Why Rosie probably took that behind the scenes, maybe detail or something that maybe Emma said during an interview or something, maybe, and worked it in as a confirmation here in the novel in that quick little throwaway line there. So that's kind of neat because technically we have Izzy as a trans woman, and then now we have actual, the reverse of that with a trans man. So, so there you go. You get both sides there. Pretty cool.
I roll my eyes, but she's right. I cannot believe I didn't realize you were playing too. How come I didn't know you were back in town? I am so out of the loop. Good surprise? She links our arms and gives me a bright smile. I match it. Good surprise. So, Izzy, what's going on there? Last I heard you were U-hauling big time. My face must give away some of what I'm feeling because her eyebrows pinch together and she puts a hand on my arm. Oh, Steph, what's wrong? I try to shake it off, but this isn't some random rocker I met after a show. It's Pixie. She's seen me at my weirdest, if not my worst. And maybe it'll help to say some of my worries out loud. I don't really know, I say, not knowing how to even start. It's like we play a great set and I'm so energized and excited afterwards, but she just melts away. She always goes somewhere to hide out until I'm ready to go home, and do you think it's something I did? Like, was I actually bad up there? You can be honest, I can take it. Okay, first of all, you weren't bad. You're a good drummer, Steph. I had a good teacher.
Hey.
I try to smile, but I know it doesn't really fit the moment. Sorry, you know me, relentlessly cheerful. Yeah, and I can see it's taking its toll. Pixie fixes me with a searching look, eyes wandering over the circles beneath my eyes and the worry lines on my forehead. It's all right to be worried or confused or upset. You're allowed to feel things. Obviously, I say, but my shoulders inch higher and my chest gets tighter. Pixie tugs the bandana off her head and adjusts her dusty rose hijab before continuing. We all have different ways of handling the post-show adrenaline drop. For some of us, going to an after party or vibing to someone else's music helps us feel the letdown more slowly. Others need some downtime. She nods at Dex, who has carved out a corner near the back wall to continue his conversation with Jordy and Ollie. Maybe Izzy is one of those people who needs to be alone for a bit. Lots of musicians are like that after shows. Kurt Cobain, Freddie Mercury. Is she an introvert?
Those are two amazing names for musicians right there. Okay. Do recommend listening to some of their music. Really good. I'm definitely more partial to Freddie Mercury with Queen. They made Queen did Freddie Mercury and Queen did a lot of really good music, really good stuff. Highly recommend.
I actually don't know. I live with this girl. I play music with her all the time. I even sleep beside her. and I've never so much as thought about it. But it's there in the details. Her bedside table full of books by bell hooks and Rupi Kaur she'd rather read than go out to bars. Then there's the party she threw for me but didn't really want to attend herself. She doesn't even have that many friends beside her housemates. Everyone else she knows are music industry people, and half of them are her evil ex-bandmates. Maybe you're right. Maybe. Pixie eyes me carefully before adding. But maybe you're right. If you feel like something's wrong, don't wait to find out the hard way. It's almost midnight, so go get your kiss and then talk with her about it. The worst that can happen is she doesn't tell you. I nod and take Pixie's verbal shove in the direction of the green room. But Pixie's wrong about that last bit. Really, the worst that can happen is that she does tell me. And it's something I can't fix. I find Izzy curled up in the back of the van.
Word of advice for Steph: sometimes there are things that you can't fix, that are well beyond your control. And that's okay. So just because you can't fix something doesn't necessarily mean you have to like force it to get fixed. Sometimes things are just sometimes things are unrepairable. So, but hey, that's life. Life can be strange that way.
Body circled around a notebook, a concentration line creasing her forehead. Heya. I hop up beside her as casually as I can manage. Penny for your thoughts? I heard they're discontinuing pennies. Not worth the metal they're made of. Izzy closes her notebook and shoves it aside. Might want to offer something else. But that will just make them more valuable. Scarcity mindset and all. Still, I fish in my pocket and pull out a hair tie and a stick of gum. Izzy takes the hair tie, stretching it between her fingers to shoot it at me. You drive a hard bargain, Gingrich. So, what's up with the isolation cave? I ask. The words come out casual, but inside I'm a riot of nerves. I try to hold Pixie's advice close to my heart. But her calm keeps slipping away from me, replaced by prickling anxiety. Oh, you know, she waves a hand at her notebook. Can't deny the muse when it strikes. New song? Izzy nods, but her eyes cheat down and to the side as her thumb brushes against the pages. Can I hear it? I can feel Izzy tense beside me as soon as I ask, her shoulders jumping toward her ears. And to be fair, I don't ask it out of a benign curiosity. The question is a challenge because I realize with a devastating swoop of my stomach, I don't believe her. It's not really ready yet, she says, still not looking at me. I quirk an eyebrow. She's never shied away from collaborating with me on music, not even in the early stages of a song. I search inside myself for the bravery I found before coming in here, but it's gone. There's a whoop and roar of Happy New Year from the other room, muffled by the door.
Happy New Year.
It must be midnight. Kiss? She presses her nose to my cheek and tugs me toward her by the belt loops on my black jeans. I lean into her. Even if I can't seem to say much of anything else tonight, at least my lips are good for something. Maybe I'll resolve to do better in 2017. Maybe, like most resolutions, I'll forget before the end of January.
All right. So, with that, that will be the end of this part of Actually, hold on. Just to, just so that way I, let me just get rid of this bookmark now. Here we go.
Spring. 15.
There we go. There we go. That way I know the exact chapter we're on. All right. So we'll leave it there at chapter 15 now. So now we made it through winter, and now we're starting spring. So another season of craziness and emotions and everything, and all the good Life is Strange stuff that we all come to love and respect about the franchise at this point. So, so far, really good seeing how Izzy and Steph's relationship has developed so far. The good thing about it is that once they became a couple, they still have, you know, little struggles and stuff, and are still getting to know each other more, with even though they're in a relationship too, which is which is really good and realistic and stuff, because sometimes even when you're in a full relationship, sometimes you don't fully know someone even before you even get into a relationship. Even when you're in one, you're still pretty much learning about that person even within a relationship. And sometimes things might not even work out. Hell, even when people get married, sometimes you still are finding out stuff about your significant other even when you're married. And that's why divorces happen. You know, outside of the potentially cheating and all that stuff. But I mean, as far as like maybe like an emotional level and stuff that you may learn about someone outside of the the sex drama that's usually depicted when it comes to divorces and stuff like that. So there you go. But in any case, uh, hope you all enjoyed this part of Steph's Stories novel here. So if anything, JR here. I'll catch you guys in the next stream. Y'all have a great time, and hopefully you had a good time here. And I will catch y'all later in the next one.